Are you live? It hasn't gone live yet from me. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. We're going straight in.
I gotta pause. There we go.
There we go. Okay, sweet. Good morning, Vanya. Can you hear me okay? Hopefully.
Come on, you couldn't beat me.
I know, they're too slow. You're too slow. Oof, I'm a little tired, but I'm in a good mood. Dar!
Hi!
I made juice this morning.
I didn't.
Oh. Did you want some juice?
Nah, I got a soda. I'm happy.
Okay. I made
I'm debating on cutting that out soon. I'm gonna keep drinking it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I got a juice maker, so it's not like I have an excuse. I'll be like, I can make juice,
Juice,
but then
I honestly should buy a juice maker. I love fresh juice.
you have to get the one I got.
Yeah, it costs money though.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you're gonna get a juicer, it's gonna cost you money. I'm sorry to tell you this. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on? Is chat working okay? I think it should be working. I figured you had to sleep, Vanyers.
Wait, no, don't tell me the shop. Okay, shop's not closed yet.
No, but it's gonna close in like a few minutes.
I got to the shopkeeper and then got kicked out. I hate that.
Morning, Echo.
I'm waiting here.
You came here to say Dar's stinky. Pinky, how dare you? Stinky Pinky. That rhymes. That has to be true.
Pinky.
Stinky
Stinky Pinky.
I'm gonna go pay it for art to have Stinky Pinky drawn. Enjoy your eeping. Smelly. Oh, fuck. Ooh, thank you so much for the Wadim. Also, thank you, Dar, for getting first. Vonnie for getting second. And Keeper for getting third. How are you all doing this morning?
Here,
Hopefully well.
It seems to be a little bit quiet, but let me help you out, son.
What do you mean? You bastard. You bastard. You bastard. You bastard. No, you fucking... it's nighttime. They're gonna be fast.
Chat, this is the time to spawn in the creatures. I'm not there, and it's nighttime.
All right.
Spawn them in,
Loading
chat.
shotgun.
Wait,
Oh, God.
Does it not work when I just click it like here? Do I have to type in chat?
Oh, wait. Has activated. Where are they? Where are they? Wait, does clicking it not work? It should work.
It's not working for me. Weird.
Don't tell me. Ah, fuck! Yep, it's working. It's working.
Trying to spawn in Mama, whatever that is.
What the fuck? I might need to go back in and reauthorize the plugin on thing. You actually slept? I'm glad you slept. Here, chat. Let me see if I can reauthenticate. Don't kill me while I'm doing this, please.
In there. Don't kill our body. Spawn bird. It's working if you type it, which I know people are doing. It just doesn't work from the buttons.
Weird. So that is the extension. Days to die. Fuck! I'm trying to fix it! Jesus! Stop trying to kill me!
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
Chat, you got this. Kill him.
Thank you for the ammo.
Yeah, I think buttons just don't work for me, which is fair because I probably shouldn't be able to use them.
Supply ownership is also dedicated to purple and nav.
If you have the Twitch integration, Vanya, activated, yeah.
Hmm. So there should be an overlay is what it is, right?
Yeah, there's an overlay.
Where's the overlays? Is it a streaming tool? No, I have not messed with overlays in ages. We'll figure it out later. Okay, good.
It's working for mostly everyone, so yeah, it's fine.
But it's not. Well, they have to type it out. People don't want to type it out, so we're gonna try and do this.
Echo said the buttons work for them.
No, I said I'm too late. Wait. Buttons work for me. Oh, okay. Okay. Also, Dar, we forgot to do something.
What'd you forget to do?
To join a party so that things are harder for us.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, a box activated on me for once. Cool. I got.
Oh, maybe we
bombs.
are in a party. We are in a party.
Oh yeah, we've been in a party.
Oh. Oh, and so the box thing works for you now?
Oh yeah, I'm getting boxes now. Yo, I just got food and bombs. Let's go.
You had to leave because you hate me. I understand. It's okay. I understand when you hate me. Yay. Thank you for the boxes, Ocean. My god, there's so many stuff.
How's it make you feel knowing that the B movie is almost 20 years old?
How does it make me feel that the B movie exists? A little disappointed, to be honest. Wait, I want to try this. Chat, we recently got new arrows. That's great. Oh, look at my aim, chat. I hit him. Wait. Got him. Fucker. Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you and your fucking... Ah. Shit.
You were really struggling against.
Oh, come on. I reloaded that. Bees, we could be bees.
That bird did a lot of work.
I have to wait till the end of the day. We could be bees, chat. We could be bees. What the fucking... Who the fuck is... Who is sending more things at me? Oh, me. I sent him after me. That's fair. Good morning, Moreau. Moreau, I still need to buy that shrimp from you, by the way. Damn it, why are you spawning coyotes?
Get him, chat.
Spawn it on Dar.
Nah, you guys don't want to do that.
No, Vanya, do not leave. You're not allowed to leave. I need you here. Dar doesn't assume I hate him. Vanya, I found your fucking... he's just there. Oh no. Should talk about Shrimpy at some point? We should. Bye. Bye, Vanya's coyote. Miss you. Oh, come on. You fucking keeper. Keeping your fuck ass birds. Ah, fuck. Why are they giving you so many of these? Why? Chat, the game just fucking broke. The game broke. Okay, there we go.
Hey, who spawned knives on me? That's not knives, snakes. Or we
You deserve
spawned
snakes.
on me.
You deserve snakes.
That's rude, chat.
You deserve snakes.
I'm sitting here hunting boar at the moment.
You deserve snakes. Oh. Well, how's everybody doing today? How's everybody doing? How's everybody? Sorry, I'm not very energetic yet. Give me a second. I'm gonna go drink my shot of G-Subs. Straight powder on the tongue. Here we go. Mwah. Kiss. Tastes awful. Because I needed to wake up. Good morning, Luna-chan. How you doing? Good morning, Batosai. How you doing? Good morning, Vanya. Good morning, Evil Diva. Evil Diva, are you evil? Are you actually evil? Should I be worried? You don't love me anymore. Why don't you love me? I don't love you like I did. Yes. Oh, fucking. No.
That'd be pretty cool if you keep.
What would be cool?
What does hurt do?
I don't know. Hurt my. I think it like stops regeneration.
Y'all should keep spawning stuff on Gene. Sorry, what? Who said that?
How dare you? Slept for 11 hours and you still feel tired. Why'd you sleep for so long? Weak range? God, why are you all nerfing me? Y'all. Fucking hell. Ah. Chat, don't do this to me, chat. Don't do this to me, chat. Don't do this to me, chat. Really? Really?
Chat, I'm proud of you.
You win, chat. You'll have 5 minutes before you can do anything again.
Hey, my vultures.
Spawn. Hydrate and stretch redeem. Thank you. Let me cap off my super energy drink here. Good morning, Bunny Bounce. How you doing today? I like your name. All right, chat. And now the greatest part of this game. I have to go run through all of those zombies to try to get my ship back. You know, I've discovered something. Dar. Do not go outside without something that can put out a bunch of fucking lead, because chat will kill you if you for a second
I've been outside this whole time killing shit.
Oh, okay, well, sorry. Chat will kill me.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's better.
Good morning. Mwah. Mwah. Chat, you get kissed. Dar, I'll kiss you too. Mwah. Oh no. Getting kissed. Get wrecked, Dar. Fight me. I wish I could jump.
What?
I know, right? Too bad there is a chat. Come here. What are you gonna do? Drop kick? What are you drop kicking? Fuck, what the fuck? Why don't you just go, some chat, come here, immediately drop kick. Crazy. I wonder what the other group will come up with. What other group? Sent Daro a follow and a kiss. Doof, send Daro a follow. Daro is a good content creator.
I disagree. I wouldn't.
Oh god, I am not looking forward to the other group spawns. They're going to be insane. Chat, by the way.
Don't wanna do that.
Good morning, Scarlett. We're going to be doing a well, Dar potentially will be doing if he wants to. A 7 Days to Die event where I'm going to try to get 8 creators together, maybe 2 teams of 4. And it's going to be who can live the longest. If you die, you get kicked from the server. And Twitch chat will be able to fuck with us. I'm going to see how Twitch integration works when we have multiple streamers doing it, so I'm gonna need to fucking test that. Who brought out the jumper? But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Negativity be gone, Daro get bonked. Daro, chat doesn't want you to be negative. They're not allowing you. What? Nothing will spawn yet, chat. You killed me. You have to wait 2 minutes.
Imagine being non-negative could not be me.
Mm-hmm. Oh god. Wait, where the fuck am I?
Oh, that dragon.
Spawn. Oh god. So I know where I need to go, I just don't know where I need to go. Come, let me out the door. We got bad dragons now. Well, we certainly don't have good ones. Okay, I know. Damn it. I know I'm supposed to go down here. I need to go over here. And I need to go over here. There it is. Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah, subtitles never work.
Oh, subtitles are fucking bad.
Spawn slay dragon. Spawn gay dragon. Okay. I hate the crawlers. I hate all of them. I hate all the zombies, chat. I hate the ones that y'all summon the worst.
Why do you chat? He wants you to spawn more. He wants you to spawn a horde of vultures on him.
No. Chat, it's me. I am the spam text. Okay, we abuse. Ah, fuck. Don't abuse the raccoon. I love the raccoon. Raccoon's great. All right. Gonna start doing a bunch of stuff. Start taking a bunch of medications. There we go. All right. Oh! Did you see that? Hey, chat, can you spawn jump for me? Can you do jump so I can get off this fuck-ass building?
Chat, you should do spawn group of vultures.
Motherfucker! No, he wasn't serious! Oh my fucking god.
There's so fucking many!
What the fuck? Why is there more?
Oh, thank you for the crate. I appreciate that.
No!
I got ammo now. Thank you for that. That's pretty cool.
Fuck ass. Fucking vultures.
I appreciate the ammo. Thank you. I actually needed some. I was running low. That actually
Yeah?
helps out a lot.
Yeah? Fuck you. Why are you summoning dogs on me?
I got more stuff.
Reload.
Man, I don't know. Chat's pretty awesome, man. I don't know what you're going on about.
Fucking. Oh, you motherfuckers. Not more birds! Chat, you must not want to be able to do anything. Why? God.
Well, you know they gain more points to get higher tier when they kill you, right?
Look at you.
Their goal is to kill you. They receive stuff for killing.
You know, if you just waited until daytime, I could at least fight something.
Chad, I'm proud of you. Not only did you kill him, you guys gave me stuff. Thank you.
So mean to me.
I love that, by the way. You're out there being killed. I'm just like, oh, hey, supply box. Ooh, hey, supply box.
Uh-huh. Want to see something cute? Yeah. Is it Vanya beating in my head with a baseball bat? Look, he eating. What do you mean he eating?
Open, finally.
Melon.
Perfect. You have exactly what I'm looking for, sir.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm gonna go build a house, chat. Y'all gonna have to watch me build a house for an hour so that I can live. Yeah, well, I refuse to use the overlay that would allow me to use 7TV because it puts the chat at the bottom left corner of my screen, which is the most inconvenient place to put chat, by the way. Why would I ever want chat in the bottom left corner of my screen? Done inverted. No, you can't. The overlay does it. The overlay covers the entire screen. It would go off the screen if I moved it. Vanya, then you and I are not using the same overlay. The overlay I use is done through a window thing and it goes over all my applications. It does not interact with the applications. Hence why I use it, because it works over everything instead of a lot of the other overlays that need to be, like, put through the game. Am I being bullied? I am being bullied, Pomo. How are you doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Chat hates me today. So that's why I'm...
Good job. I'm proud of you.
That is why I'm building my own safety nest. No, Luna loves me. Luna still loves me. That's fair. Good morning, Pomo. How are you doing today? Somebody stinks. It's all of chat. All of chat stinks. You all Smalley. Except Luna. Luna's fine. And Ocean. Ocean's fine too. Even though Ocean has intentionally overburdened me with things to get me killed. Moreau, you're fine too. Fine, not all of chat is smelly. No, but you gave stuff to Dar. And that is just as bad. You could have given me things.
Now, chat, you hear it. Gene hates me. Doesn't want me to have stuff.
You're not allowed stuff. How dare you? Oh, you sick? I'm sorry to hear you're sick. This is where I live. I'm living in here. Hey, great! Thank you, thank you, thank you. But Daro's a cutie. I mean, are we sure about that?
I got a picture I can share. I got the art.
The art? That's
I got
fair.
the art of my human form, you know?
Okay, I need to figure out how to get up here. How am I gonna do this? Thank you for the crate. I do appreciate it. Ah, wait a second. Can I climb this? J Shark greater than J Schlut? Why is Star also J? Ah! What the
over there.
fuck was that? Anyways, no. I'm trying to figure out how to get past this fire.
Well, in the end, have almost completed my goal.
What was your goal? Oh, you still trying to open that box?
I'm gonna get the box open.
Ah, motherfucker keeper. Nya nya. There, happy? Thank you, Luna.
Man, we really fucked this place up.
We did fuck that place up. I gotta figure out how to climb and get up there. Daro's a plushie, very huggable. It is true. Daro is a plushie and very huggable. Okay, chat. You can come back to killing me, apparently. Motherfucker, you don't even give me a second. You don't even give me a second. Just like, my God. Hello, Lele. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's funny. I have so much medicine, but I don't get infected because I die too quickly. I can't even fix my pipe machine gun. Oh shit! I need that. I need that. I need that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I got this. I got this.
We should keep killing stuff. We gained levels and I ain't even doing anything. Pretty cool.
Fuck ass bird. Fuck ass bird. Die, you fuck ass bird. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hello, hello, I'm fine. What about you? I'm doing great. Where's the dog? There's the dog. Ah, there it is. God, y'all fucking... No, what the fuck? Wait, no! Pull should be illegal. Pull should be illegal.
Chad, I'm very proud of you right now. I just want you to know this.
I'm doing amazing. The best I've ever done in my entire life. Banana chat, banana. Fucking hell.
No vehicle? We ain't got a vehicle.
Oh god. This is the only way that I can make it is by shooting out their legs, that they'll stop chasing me for a few seconds. Fucking...
Sounds like you're having a rough time right now.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, come on. How many bullets do I have? There we go. Alright. Oh, fuck. No! Why? Yeah, I can't even run. I haven't. Fuck. There we go.
Oh! I
Yeah.
see.
What's up?
Oh, I opened that chest.
What's in it?
I have 5 first aid kits, a blade trap bundle, gold nuggets, 5 more lockpicks, a beaker, a shit ton more ammo, level 4 knife. I got some boots, enforcer boots.
Shit.
Bro, I got some cool shit in here, Chad.
No! Damn it!
Metal
She's
chain
faster!
mod.
Sorry, I can't follow all of you. I can't communicate right now, chat. I'm struggling. Oof. Fuck. Oh, fucking hell. I realize these guys aren't as bad because they're slow. No! Put away your... What was that? Where is it? Where's the stupid bird? I heard it. Oh, it's a scare. You motherfucker. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Almost there. I'm so glad they got these guns. If they took away this gun from me, it would be the worst.
Alright, I'm done looting.
Okay.
I How you doing?
How am I doing? Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been looting this whole time, you know.
Yeah, really? How's looting been
Yeah.
going? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Haha, get fucked, Dar.
Man, it's funny. As soon as you spawn those in, I just fell, so they spawned above me. They're nowhere near me.
Really?
Yeah, I just was jumping down to get down. That timing was unfortunate.
Okay. 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 We're alive, chat. We're alive. Oh, fuck. Yo, I don't know how much ammo I just went through.
Howdy, how are you? You like knives, right?
I like knives.
Here you go. You can have that.
Okay, thank you. I will take it. I considered shooting you in the face, but that would be rude. That would not be fair to you, just to take out my anger suddenly. Don't do it, okay. We'll get him next time. Yeah, that's why I'm building up this building. I'm gonna make this building my headquarters, so I can survive.
Wait, do we have a new home again?
Yeah, this one is actually pretty defensible.
Not living in the UFO museum? Alright.
We're staying in the UFO museum. I forgot about that. Chat, you want to play sooner? What do you mean, chat, do you want to play sooner? You better not be able to accelerate the time on this. I haven't gotten to a point to...
Can you speed it up, actually?
Do you have pipes? Do you have pipes? Do you have pipes?
No.
Damn it! You motherfuckers! Fuck.
Alright, well, I'm gonna leave you be, because they seem to be wanting to kill you. So I'm gonna go this way. You have a good one, G.
Oh, here we go again. Just...
Weak range. Oh, now you got bad range.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Chad, I'm here, so you're gonna have to try a bit harder. I can't just let him die.
Fuck you, but... Where's the fucking coyote? I see it. Watch out for the coyote. She's just bully Gene Simulator. I can't even build a house, chat.
Try to keep eyes on which ones you are, so I don't shoot you on accident.
That's fair.
Ooh, this one dropped really 1 sec. You got that. I'm gonna leave this.
Yeah. I haven't even been able to fucking repair my armor yet. Come here, bird. Come here, bird. Why is this bird stronger?
You got an army chasing you.
Oh, you're kidding me. Now I'm bleeding.
I've taken out a lot already. I'm just helping from the back lines.
What reverse do? Who knows? Oh, you're kidding me. Why would you pull them to me? They're all on it. Don't pull me. Don't reverse me. Fuck you.
They're running away from me.
All right, here we go.
Start running back this way.
I cannot. All I wanna do is see you turn into giant woman. Why are you fast? Giant woman. All I wanna be someone who gets to see a giant woman. All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman. A giant woman. Dive on you, soldier. You do. Up to you. Na, 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 na. Oh, I got boost. I said die Vanya soldier. Not Vanya. What's in the bag?
Another rifle book. I've learned like 5 rifle books, I'm pretty sure now.
All I wanna do. Now I can finally go to the store and sell some stuff.
You think they're gonna let you get to the store?
I hope so. I just want to make it to the store. I want to build a base. I want us to survive because
well, luckily for you, we agreed last session that we weren't going to go against each other because we want to experience the big area. So, you know, I'm not going to just abandon you.
Thank you. Morning, sir. Siren. Hello, Siren. Good morning, Ocean. Oh, I am infected. You're right. Sorry. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate it. That's painkillers.
You want me to cure your infection?
No, 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 no. You don't want me to build a home? There. Okay, chat. You want us to struggle against the blood moon, right? Hello, hello, Necro. The blood moon is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah. So
we need to build up a tiny, tiny base, and then you can send more swarms after us. That's what you need. That's what you want. That'll be more entertaining for you.
I got a jumper.
But how's everybody doing? What are all y'all plans for today? Thank you for the energize. I do appreciate it. And thank you, Ocean, for the boost on range. That was sick. That was sick. I slept in the night and the gods have punished me. That's fair. Thank you for the fast.
Bro, energized and speed? Fuck.
You plan on spawning more snake? That's fair.
Well, we're about to be in a safe zone, so
Yeah. No, Dar, slow down. Dar, don't leave me. You gotta go in there and they're gonna start. You're like spawn snake.
Did they give me the boost, not you the
No,
speed
they
boost?
do, but I have full, like, I'm so fucking overweight right now.
Oh.
Let me take some steroids.
I just fucking zoomed.
Came here before duty. Duty? What's your duty? Well, good luck with your duty.
Hey, are these gold nuggets something I should keep? Or can
No,
I
you
just
should be
sell
selling them.
They're worth a lot.
Sell them.
Alright, yeah, I just got 700 for those.
Bonnie has 35 pinpoints. Oh, god damn it. Batosai has 2,816 pinpoints. Yeah, because y'all kept getting more by killing me. What's up?
It requires power, so I don't know if we'd be able to use this yet. However, I have an item that you might want to use. I'm talking about setting up a base. But I also want to sell it, because it sells for 1,000.
Sell it.
I have blade traps.
Oh, those are cool. Definitely sell it though. Well, I'll just get a bunch of fucking wood traps, and it's only the first blood moon. I think all we really need is mine.
Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I've never fucking been in a blood moon on this game, so.
Oh, there's gonna be at least 16 zombies at any given point. I think. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where's the box? There's the box. Yeah. Scrap. Kibo should lead the next deck.
What's the matter? Can't find what you're looking for?
How do I spawn white mages for your zombies? If it lets you spawn one of the screamers, or actually the radiation zombies, not that I need to be telling you this, the radiation zombies do heal the zombies. So if you're trying to kill us, work. Oh, okay. Well, I hope you enjoy your work when you do go to work.
Oh, look at you.
Okay.
Quit talking. Either just get the fuck out of here.
I'm taking one of these boots. What'd you get?
Checked the wrong thing.
There's boots for you. I'm not ignoring you, Evil. What's up, Evil? Sweetie. Mwah. 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 And that's for Siren. Mwah. Chop, chop, dumb fuck. That's crazy. Okay. So we need... Where are the books? Fuck yes, forge books. Okay. We're gonna sell this. Bye-bye. Did I ignore redeem? If I did ignore your redeem, I do apologize. There are a lot of redeems going through.
Oh, there's just crates spawning on me nonstop.
The fuck are you spawning?
Son of a bitch. That's all you're gonna buy?
Okay.
Space
You
jet.
want something?
Oh yeah, I've been out of space for a while. Okay, I need repair kits also. Repair kits are so expensive, damn it. Okay. We need to make a forge. I need a wrench. I'm gonna see if I can sell shit to buy a wrench.
So I'm hearing that you need a certain item, right? Known as like a kit of repair.
Yes.
I mean, I do have 6 of them.
Do you wanna maybe give me 2? Hey, we're gonna get rid of this.
Chat, do I want to be nice to Gene? Do I give them 2 armor things for their armor? Oh, by the way, you want to know what was inside that crate?
What?
A level 3 assault rifle.
God damn it! The exact thing that I actually use.
The AK-47.
Oh, you fucking bastards!
That sounds like, oh, hi there.
Meanwhile, me with my broken fucking pipe rifle, and I can't even.
A sale is a sale.
Okay, so I just checked that crate. It had 4 repair kits in it. And I now have fucking 10 repair kits on me.
You do, do
want-
you?
You want 2 of them?
I would like 2 repair kits, please.
How do I drop just a small bit of them? Because I need to use some too.
I think you just right click.
Right.
Mwah.
Wait.
I'm never gonna be nice to him ever. I know you're not. You pick him up, I think you can click and then you just... Yeah. I appreciate it. Now I can finally repair some of my armor.
Yeah, I'm actually do the same. I'm gonna I shouldn't repair the crafted armor, right? Only the named armor?
Yeah. Because the other... Well, I mean, the other stuff, like the crafted armor, you can repair with just, like, plants. It won't use a repair kit.
It used a repair kit.
The mask?
You lied to me. The primitive armor outfit? The primitive outfit?
Oh, do you not have any grass on you?
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, do you want an agility booster for your headgear?
I already have one on it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll sell this one.
Dang it, though. Oh, hey, great.
Flashing. I'd go broke with more
Fuck it.
customers like you. Don't
There's a
test
lot
my
of shit you can
patience.
have. Is that a plane?
Chat, we're gonna go to the plane.
There's a plane that where the...
I don't hate anybody, chat. I love you all. Mwah. You're all amazing. You're so cute. You're gorgeous. Every single one of you is really, really fantastic. When will 7 days without people? Yes,
the
Star.
fuck?
There is weather in this game.
Ew, what is this?
I do think it's funny that that you're your surprise is there's weather.
Oh wait, we're voting on something?
What are we voting on?
I'm scared.
No.
Oh no, that doesn't sound good. What is it?
I don't
What
want
is
to
it
know. It's all I know is there's spider attack and zombie vulture attack, and then there's C question mark question mark question mark. Mwah. You know, it's the best.
Alright, well, we
That's
should
good.
definitely make sure we're near each other, because I think a lot of shit's about to spawn on us.
Oh, okay. Come with me. Come with me, and you'll see a land of pure imagination. Daro isn't a mean. Daro is adorable. Daro is a sweetie. He's also a bully. See that both things can be true. Big Mama group. Or Doggo. Daro, I'll meet you at the crate.
Oh yeah, that's where I've been going.
Just let me have an automatic rifle if there's one. That way we can both have one.
I have an AK. I don't really think I need another one. I'm
exactly.
real. Anything bad happen if I touch this?
He explode.
Oh, fuck yeah!
What'd you get?
You're gonna hate me.
Probably. What'd you get?
I have the melee mod bundle because that doesn't do anything for me. I got an 8x scope for my rifle.
Oh, yeah. It's good, but I'll be okay. There you go. By the way, we will die in this area.
Oh, is that
Hi,
what's
Ari.
going on with me right
Yes.
now? I'm like coughing of death at the moment.
Yep. I like Vonnie's name too.
Yeah, I left, there's a melee stuff. I know you've been focused. Besides spears, I've been ignoring the other stuff.
No. We must steal each other's boxes. Okay. Modify.
Wait, we didn't steal it. Wait, who stole? Wait, did you steal a box? Wait, was there a box spawned in?
No. When we were in the shop together, some of those boxes were mine, some of those boxes were yours, and we definitely both stole each other's without really paying attention to the other person. All right, here we go.
All I know is they were spawning on top of me. I didn't check the name.
Yeah, well. Bark, 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 woof, woof, woof. Mwah.
Alright, so
Gene got a question? What's the question, Siren? How you doing? Have we cleared this area before?
Yes.
Damn it. Hey, look, one steak.
A new vote has started.
Jumbled backpack? What the fuck is jumbled backpack?
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Wait a second. Okay, Gene got a question.
Oh yeah,
What's
those
your favorite food?
kits were 100% yours, and I took them.
How dare you? Okay, we need to make it. So, favorite food. I do have favorite food. Do I know what my favorite food is right now? No. I do not remember my favorite food right now.
We're probably about to learn what jumble backpack does. I don't know why I'm not looking forward to this.
Okay, do we remember where our house was?
No clue.
Didn't we have it marked somewhere?
All I know is it's in the UFO museum.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. That's that. That is the town we were just in.
Oh, it's right over here. I see it.
Where?
Quick waypoint. That way. I'm running towards it.
What'd it do?
Oh, jumbo backpack just moves all of our stuff in our backpack.
Oh. Yeah, Chat, what's your favorite food? God damn it. Harf, harf, I'm such a cute little puppy. There you go. Yeah, bing. My favorite food. I cannot think of my favorite food at all. I know I have favorite food. Why?
You having a fun time back there?
Oh, no. I know I have a favorite food. I know I do. I do like key lime pie a lot. Key lime pie is definitely one of my favorite foods. Okay. Where is home?
Going straight towards it.
Okay, I'll follow
It's
you.
directly straight from the way I'm running. That doesn't sound good.
It does not. You know what the worst part is? I taught them what pull does. Oh, that's okay. Custom minute, 1 minute audio. Bet. I will hit you up, Aura. for your custom 1 minute audio. Mine's a. I do like any kind of Mexican food, though. Mexican food is incredible.
Nah, Luna, you don't want to attack me. Keep attacking Gene. It's more funny.
Gene deserves it. I've done nothing. The bird wings of immortality. You don't know what I've been through. You have made up more things that I've done to you than I have actually done to you, Vanya.
Nah, Chad, it's all true. I've seen it with my eyes.
Every time you come in there. Every time I come in there, I'm like, you're like, hey, Chad, did you know that Gene threw me in a dumpster, killed me, and I'm dead now?
It's true. I saw it, chat.
You know. Did you know that I don't actually exist because Gene erased my existence from reality?
We're just trying to get home. Fucking zombies.
We got video evidence? There is no. What do you mean video evidence? Remember, chat, you don't have to be fast. You just have to be faster than your slowest friend.
Hey, if I shoot you in the leg, does that make you go slower?
No.
Oh.
I'll gladly tank down. Oh, Luna, you can click the button on, there should be an overlay on the screen.
You can choose who you spawn it on.
Yeah. I don't know how you knew this was here. Do you have a marker here?
No, it's called, I looked at the map and it's like, hey, this looks like a farm. Oh, it's that.
Well, you're smart then. So, you know, fuck you.
That's all I did.
I can finally put some stuff away into storage. And I will...
Fuck, wait, we have a storage finally, yes. Hey, we need another storage. I can't put shit in here.
Yeah, because I'm using it right now. Be patient.
Ooh, ammo. Oh, hey, there's arrows there for you.
Thank you. I'm so glad I... Fuck you!
What? There were arrows! I was honest. There was arrows.
I was using that.
Oh, now I'm using it.
So mean to me.
Alright, I'm putting extra iron spear that I have in here.
Okay, I will
so
take
you
that
know.
happily.
Oi! 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 Fuck you!
You got that. Thank you for the spear. Oh, fuck yes, honey. And... Motherfuckers!
Alright, chat, listen.
Y'all allow us no respite.
Can y'all, like, hold off just a little bit? I'm really wanting to empty out my inventory right now.
I got you. I'll protect you.
Chat! I'm begging you! Yo, this fucking AK is actually pretty fucking sick.
Are you not going to use your hunting rifle? Oh, you're still using your hunting rifle.
Oh, I'm still using the hunting rifle, yeah. I just wanted to see how the AK felt. This is the first time I had enemies near here where I could try it out.
Yeah, honestly, like, when we're invading the next building...
yeah, this AK is going to be...
Yeah. Alright, speaking of, do we have any pipe? Chat, let me lay some pipe.
Oh my god, chat. I beg of you.
What? Behind you.
You... slut. Chat.
There you go.
I just want to store shit.
Wants to pipe with me, chat? Bet.
Alright, I'm done. You can use it.
Thank you.
I'm trying to keep you safe, but I don't think they're gonna give us a second.
Alright. Me a campfire. I think I used all my forge books already. Yes, we can make a forge? Okay. I'm gonna work on making a forge.
Alright.
Also, let me lock this area down for us.
If you can. So wait, is it day 5? Is the first blood moon?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, sorry, day 7. Never mind, we're still good.
Oh yeah, we just got time then. I want to get a way to get on top of this roof easily because I can just use my hunting rifle and kill shit while they're trying to get to us.
Oh fuck, screamers. Dar, help me kill the screamers.
Screamers?
Yes. Okay, we're good.
Alright.
Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Why is your screen green?
Oh, that's the barrier around this place. Oh, come here to use the land claim block. I think you need to use it.
Give me a second. There's a lot of fuckers out here.
I'm gening it. I'm gening it. My feed emote are gone. Why did you have feed emote?
Why don't you is the question. Where's the block?
Over here in the back corner.
Just says active. Nothing I can do on it.
Okay, we're good. Redeems. All right. What a good almighty crocodile chubbers you are. Such a good almighty crocodile. There you go. Happy? Thank you for that.
Why
Another
are
custom
there so
one.
many fucking zombies?
Communism. You get it.
Fuck spawned in a horde.
Oh no, these are just wandering hordes. Those happen sometime.
Fuck you.
Yoink.
Arrows for you in that one.
Thank you. That one's fine. Ooh, drinks. Thank you for the drinks. And the pie. And
All
the
right,
drink.
So we need to work on a home to survive the nights, and then what do we need to work on to get to the next area? You were talking about it last
smoothies.
time.
We need smoothies. There's a stick book over here for you, a pokey stick book.
Pokey stick, pokey stick.
Yep, I'm taking that. I'm taking that. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. You don't get that. That's mine.
Where's you told me pokey stick?
Oh, in this book, in the bag here.
Yeah,
Pokey stick book. Okay.
what'd you get?
I got a double barrel shotgun.
I see.
Don't you fucking Oh fucking yes. Okay. I did need this. I'm glad I got this one. I have a shovel, so I'm just gonna dig shit.
Oh yeah, there was a shovel. It was like a level 5 iron shovel before. I just left it alone because I didn't like shovels.
Give me the shovel.
I left it behind.
What the fucking fuck? Okay, no, I need these. These are for bows. Let me use.
Yo, I got night vision now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got night vision, guys. Hey, you got any? What's your glove situation looking like?
I have nerd gloves, intellect weapon damage. Why? Do you have something that's good?
I have raider gloves, which give you melee weapon damage increase.
I wonder if that would help me digging. No, I'm right. Redeems. Oh, god damn it. All right, here we go again. Thank you. Thank you, lovelies.
Fuck you. I'm using them.
Yeah, no, I think you should use it. Oh, hell. Do you have a mod on your spear?
Do I actually? I don't know.
Duh, I got something for you.
I know I have 2 open slots.
You're gonna use this?
All right.
And I think that's all I got for you right now. But that's gonna set your spear on fire.
Uh-huh.
That's gonna set your spear on fire.
Oh, sure. Yes, it does.
Yeah, I figured you might want that. What do you think? You think it's a good?
Can I come poke you with this real quick?
Nah, nah. Because you're gonna be like, oh no, that one didn't set you on fire. Let's try again. Oh no, that one didn't set you on fire. Let's try again. I wonder which one of these. Why you dead? What's going on there? Explain. Oh, God, chat. Y'all lucky I love you. If I did not, I might be a little bit more spiteful. All right.
So what do we need to do to get to the next areas?
Where does the southern accent?
Right?
Where does my current southern accent come from, or in general?
Oh, I'm gonna be real. You look like a zombie from where I was standing.
No.
Not you. No, I stopped because I saw you doing the digging animation. You're like saying so I was like, oh, that looks like a zombie. I went to shoot, and then right when I was about to pull the trigger, I saw you dig.
But yes, chat. Sorry, this southern accent would be more of a Georgian one, and so southern accents in general come.
The fuck?
Why'd you reverse me? Southern accents in general come from the lower south east section of America. We've got a few different kinds of accents. We got some that's like very Texan and Georgian, and there are some more like to Virginia. That's one of the heavier accent areas. But below Virginia, and then from Texas to the right. When you go further left, you get more Hispanic accents. Mm-hmm. All right, I think I'm getting enough. Jesus. Oh, hello. Man's, yeah. Oh, hell yeah, I'm good. I'm digging a trench around our thing. Every hit is digging me another hole.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh my God, I got 6 seconds left of this, but I'm getting a lot.
I know I've asked this a few times, and I think you answered, but I already forgot. So what do we need to collect for the smoothie shit?
Oh, I have no clue. It's a recipe. You might want to look in your recipe bar and see if you can make it.
Because I was gonna say, while you prepare the house, I can go out and
let's see. We got
try collecting shit resources.
Okay, so the next one we're gonna want to make is the Oasis smoothie, I believe. What's this one for? All right, we need the either the burnt smoothie, the frostbite smoothie, or the Oasis smoothie. And the Oasis smoothie is gonna need aloe vera, oil shale, mushrooms, and water. If you have mushroom seeds, that's gonna be great. If you find any blueberries, we'll also need those. We're gonna need to start actually growing shiz.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun.
That's why I'm taking care of it. I'm handling this. Don't worry. Oh, you redeem pronouns? Thank you so much for the pronoun redeem. Chat, I go by he, they. Chat, what pronouns do you use? So y'all Southern? Yeah, it is. Y'all Southern.
Weapons. No, chat, the weapon.
Mystery supply. Good night, Moxie. You sleep well, all right? And yeah, da. What pronouns do you use?
He.
Just he.
Him.
No him. Just he. Because I'll never be him. I'm she, her. Nice.
You said you needed pipe, right?
Yeah, you want to give me some pipe? You want a pipe?
I got some pipe for you.
All right, I'd like some pipe.
Oh my God, boxes!
All right, we'll grab them, chat. You bastard.
That was just ammo. I'm disappointed.
Oh. Mystery supplies were lame, but that's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
Do you use a pistol?
I can occasionally, yeah. Motherfucker!
I should not have returned. They're all after you. Good. Alright, while you deal with those, I'm gonna put some pistol bullets in this hole here. You can have these.
Keeper and the fuck ass Reapers. Oh, I hit that. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Oh. All right, what are we looking for, chat? Cobblestone. Man.
Oh, yeah, how much pipe do you need?
Just a single pipe will be great.
Alright, I got 5 pipes. So if you
I'll
want me
take it.
Once I remember how to fucking split this shit up. There it goes.
How you doing on food?
I'm doing all right. I can't complain.
Nice. All right. And we're gonna repair this. Oh, thank God.
Oh, man.
Motherfucker! You're kidding me. You are kidding me, chat. What the hell? Fucking die keeper. All right. Are you kidding? All right, we're gonna try to use this. Let's try to slow this bleeding down. Vultures are fun. Are vultures fun? Are they fun? Who they fun for? Who they fun for? Clearly ain't me. Hello, Maka. How you doing, Maka? Hey, what's up, sweetie? Good for you. That's true. That's true. In Italy, there. Oh, come vai, Pomo? Come vai?
I'm going back to collecting these.
You missed them trying to kill me. And the end of the Southern Voice.
By the way, you need a hunting rifle ammo by any chance?
Always, but that's also what you're gonna use on the AK.
Oh, that's true. I just have 400 bullets.
Please, I'll take I'll take a little bit, please.
No, you told me I should
No,
save them. So I'll
no,
keep
give
them
it here.
myself. Yeah, you told me to save them. You said I should keep them for myself because I don't use them for my AK.
No, please.
I tried sharing, and you said no.
I was being considerate. Also, if you ever find a better bow, please let me know. Okay, I need a wood log. I need a leather. Oh shit, did I sell my leather? Do we have leather?
Alright, here you go. Yeah, you can have 50.
Hey Chad, do y'all want to do me a favor? Can y'all summon dogs? Can y'all summon as many dogs as you possibly can? And just try to have them murder me?
Now they're not going to because you want it. You gotta not want it.
God damn. I mean, I do hate fighting dogs. I just, you know, I need the, Motherfucker, those don't help!
You get birds instead.
Because, of course, the stupid fuck-ass birds don't carry leather. Oh,
hey,
Jesus, now that I'm... Shit.
Yeah, there's some shit going on behind the chat.
I'm bleeding. I'm bleeding. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. No! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! I'm coming to your house and who's the bird? Who's the bird? Who was the bird? Which one of you did the bird?
I'm proud of you, chat. Good job.
Which one of you was the fuck-ass bird? Which one of you was the fuck-ass bird? Batosai!
You want some good news?
What?
I got potato seeds. I'm kidding, that wasn't the good news. I actually have aloe vera seeds.
Oh, thank God.
That we needed.
Yep. Give me leather. Give me leather. I like how I'm like... Chat, I need dogs. Summon dogs. Did you say birds and snakes and birds and more birds? Also dogs, because we're nice to you like that.
I don't know what you expected.
All I wanted was the dogs.
I'm gonna go back to
Hi,
collecting
Siren.
resources for us. If you need me to keep an eye out for anything specific, you just let me know.
Fucking chat. You gotta keep an eye out on chat. Oh, do you have tape?
I'm just gonna say no and not say what I did earlier.
Did you sell all the duct tape?
I dropped like 15 earlier because I didn't know it. I was like, I don't need this.
I need it.
Well, I didn't need it in the moment.
Hi, Shay. How you doing? Oh, there should be an... So if you all haven't joined the integration, there is an integration like redeem. So you all might need to click the redeem in the redeems.
Wait, is that the one, the only Shay?
That is the one and only Shay. By the way, can we get a shout out for Shay Bunny? Shay Bunny's a Fate House Extremer. Love him, love him,
That
love him.
already happened.
Oh, good.
Oh, so they're already on that.
Shay's old school. Shay been here for a
Shay.
bit.
That was my favorite bun doing.
I forgot I have a shotgun chat. Oh my god. Fucking, I had a shotgun. I have the bow too, and I couldn't pull it out because I panicked.
Sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, I have quite a few problems. Let's be honest, chat. I have a lot of problems. Also, if you find a pot or a grill, let me know.
Mm-hmm. If I find another grill, I'll make sure to grab it. Hey, listen, this is on you. You haven't told me what you need. I don't know shit on this game. You should know this by now.
Well, we're aware. I love whatever's wrong with you, Gene. Wait, what redeem? Oh, is there not a redeem in the redeems? There should be a thing that says 17. Where is it? I don't know. It's either on the overlay itself or there. I don't know if it works for mobile. There are two. There are two. Wait, can I do this? Rewards on cooldown. Oh. Click the 500p one. Click the 500p one. I think that might let you join.
Oh, look at you. That was an angry fucking dog.
Gotcha.
Yo, this spear lights fuckers on fire.
Mm-hmm. Aren't you glad I told you? I gave you that. Now are you not gonna try to support me?
I just stabbed a dude and watched him burn to fucking death.
Oh, amazing. Okay. PB.
Also, I have like 10 lockpicks on me, so I actually am able to actually loot the good shit.
Chat, can you potentially give me pipes? I need 3 pipes.
Brother, I just asked if you needed more.
Well, I needed it to repair my gun, and now I need more pipe.
I had like 6 on me.
Well, I need a good piping. I mean, yeah, I do need a good piping. Chat, do you want to give me a good pipe?
Okay, I'm about to actually lose my shit.
There you go. By the way, the custom audio redeem can be used for multiple different audio requests. If you have any sort of audio ideas that you'd like to hear that are under a minute, you can redeem that, and I will send you a custom audio. No!
What the fuck?
Oh, I'm almost
Chat! Really, chat? You don't even give me time. You don't even give me time. Okay. I'm gonna have to play this game like I do all sort of like hardcore games where it's just like my toolbar is nothing but fucking guns. Max
right.
XP penalty reached. I can't. Time is earned, not given.
You did die, but I almost died also. Fucking, hey, did you know there's bombs in houses?
All right, chat. I gotta rebuild my toolbar here so that I can play against you all.
Wait, Rad Remover mod will disable their generation ability of radiation charged
Yes.
infernal zombies for 90 seconds.
Yes.
That doesn't sound important. I'm just gonna leave it here.
You want to put it on your spear? You have another slot.
Oh wait, does it go on my spear? Oh shit! Oh wait, hold up. Never mind. I'm keeping this.
I don't need this fuck ass genius fucking fuck ass thing. All right, let me build out my fucking equipment better here, so that when I panic, I don't need this shotgun anymore. We're scrapping that. All right, chat. Knife for close range. Shotgun for distant. This is further, even further. And then we have this exclusively for killing snakes. Why are you all barking? Are you all trying to be fucking cute? I will give you sweet treats. Why are you all fucking... What are you dog-anoising for? God, where's Luna? Luna, you still care about me, right? You wouldn't summon all those dogs on me? You got that dog in you? I mean, do you want to have another? Anyways...
Hi.
Hi, Mako.
A thing I did not know existed in this game.
Look, it's a mod. I'm allowed to be. I'm allowed to flirt with the mods.
You did not tell me there were treasure maps in this game.
Yeah. Well, look, okay, Dar, do you want me to spoil everything, or do you want to find shit?
I have a treasure map. I am so fucking happy right now. Wait, can we make mushroom seeds from mushrooms? Like, if I found a mushroom, can you do something with it or no?
Quite probably. You'd have to bring it back. I think I have stuff for that.
I will carry the mushroom on me then.
Also, bring me back pipe. I can make us a forge so I can start making us repair kits. And I can start making us newer weapons. And no, then you can get forged iron so you can make spears.
Fine, I will, just because you might want this iron crossbow I just found.
I do. Genius pretends to flirt with the mods.
Nice loot in this. Alright, I'm coming back home.
You hear that, Doc? You hear that? He's coming. Oh, chat, he didn't give me gummy worms. I said I'd give you gummy worms. What do you mean he didn't give me gummy worms? I said I would. You DM'd your audio request? Perfect. I feed them. Stop lying.
Okay, I can confirm. Gene does not.
Stop lying. Stab it. Oh, also, if I don't know if you have rotten meat for whatever reason, but if you do, I will need that.
I definitely don't.
Okay. Chat, what's the word I'm looking for? Farm plot. We need nitrate powder. Do we have nitrate powder? Have I been throwing away my nitrate powder? Damn it. Damn it, now I need the fucking zombie birds. Why is it always when I need a thing I don't have it? Alright, we'll put things away for now while I'm waiting. Alright, when is his mod apps? My mod apps.
How are you? Alright, pipe. Mushroom. I don't know, you can have this too. I don't want this either. You can have this also. I'll also take that.
Wait, you're arranging a meeting with him? Don't you steal my mods. I need my mods. I will die without them.
You like my new hat?
You fuck ass, goofy ass hat. All right.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I gotta go for no reason.
Yeah, I saw it. Come on, come at me. Where is... I can't even jump. No birds? No birds, chat? No birds? Fuck ass dogs. Now that I don't need dogs, there's only dogs. Oh, now you want to do a bird. shit. Ah, fuck. Oh, fuck. Come on. Come on. Fuck. No! Damn it! If you all just let me fight things, if you let me just fight them and not also, hey, Gene, we don't want you to fucking see anything.
Man, it's pretty nice out here, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm about to kill Dar. Gene is not getting assaulted. I'm getting... Oh, it's a lot worse. It's a...
I'm heading to my treasure map.
Have fun with your fucking fuck-ass treasure map.
What the fuck?
All right. Well, I did get what I needed, chat. I appreciate it. At least we can finally make the forge.
I've noticed a problem.
What?
So, you know that one area that you said if we go inside, it hurts us? How long can I stay in there until I die?
Good luck. Good luck.
Treasure map inside that area.
I have not a clue. It's a skill issue. Is that what it is? It's a skill issue. It's a skill issue when you saw it. Every single thing. All right. Do we have a forge? Can I finally make a forge? All right. I got this, chat. I got this just for you. Since you all helped me make it by murdering me repeatedly. Where's my axe? There it is. Oh, we're just gonna... No, 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 no. Welcome back, Maka. Lovely, lovely, lovely to see you. Mwah. Mwah.
Sounds so
Kill
fun.
me. Kill me. I don't want to live anymore. What was that? Okay, if you see a bellows, a crucible, or a anvil, let me know.
Will do.
Oh,
Oh, wait, I don't have a shovel. I probably need that, don't I?
You do need a shovel. Please don't do that. Do what?
Plant and stone.
We have a crossbow. Crossbow's sick.
Spawn nuclear warhead.
Okay. I'm so excited for this crossbow. Spawn Karen. You know what I haven't been doing, chat? Leveling up.
Well, you don't got too many levels. You've been dying a lot.
Shut up.
Wait, what? Can we see what level we are? I'm
Probably.
only one level ahead of you.
Only one level ahead of me.
I'm
Fuck ass.
6 game stages ahead of you, though, whatever that means.
Fuck ass.
No idea what game stage means.
Spawn the coming. Spawn come. Spawning come. I don't know why that's so funny to me. All right. Spawning Freddy Fazbear.
Didn't you say there was a one thing Twitch could give us that made it where, like, you digged fast?
Yes, they would have to increase your melee damage.
Hey, chat, you guys should increase my melee damage here soon.
Chat, you should remove his melee damage. Chat, you should just rip off Dar's arm.
I want to see what's on the treasure map.
Chat, rip off Dar's arms and beat him with it. I'm sorry, Doc. I'm sorry. Chat, you should eat these nuts. What the fuck, Gene? Don't ask me, I don't know. Look, I have to take out my aggression on somebody, and I can't do it on chat. Thank you for the crossbow, by the way.
Okay, so I get a 3-minute debuff while I'm in here. Does that mean if I don't leave within 3 minutes, I die?
Who knows? Canceled. No, don't Chat, how dare you fucking cancel me? I'm coming to your house and I'm gonna pet your dog. I'm gonna make your dog like me more than you.
Alright, chat, can I please get like a melee damage boost?
Wait,
or,
wait.
Like, some speed?
Can somebody do supply bicycle? I want to see what...
Oh, hey, thank you for the ammo. I now have 500 shots for my rifle.
Oh, sweet, bicycle parts. That's actually kind of sick.
Thank you, Evil! Let's go!
Thank you, Evil. Motherfucker, they got in. Why are they so... Holy fuck! That thing went flying!
Cat, more melee boost. I beg. I'm begging.
Oh my
I want to see
god.
what's in this chest so bad.
I believe in you, spawn wall candy. Oh fuck, I haven't done the wall candy redeem. Hey, Vanya or anybody, could you go into my stream suggestions and add the wall candy redeem? I need to actually animate that. I want to make it something cool. Fuck.
I'm getting close to the treasure, but I'm gonna die.
Oh, you're supplied a meal. If you eat food, it will heal you. You're also having vultures spawned on you. This is what you get for going outside.
I haven't had a single vulture on me yet.
Oh, just wait for it. Light. At Stream Elements, huh? Oh, that's banana. If you say banana, because I flirt sometimes, and you don't enjoy the flirting, and you want me to stop, or you're feeling uncomfortable, you can just say banana, and I will ease off. Mm-hmm. Okay, what am I doing? Right, we're still working on the forge. Fucking I heard that. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
I have some buffs.
No buffs for you. That was a scare. God damn. Okay.
Oh, where the fuck these birds come from?
They were waiting.
Spawned.
They were waiting for you to not quit paying attention. Good luck.
Melee boost this is so much.
The melee boost is not long, unfortunately.
Or stamina boost to energize. That would help out so much too. Yes.
Oh, I need clay, chat. Let's make some clay. Let's do some drugs.
Oh, we're about to find out what happens when this buff fully goes down, because that's about to. You're suffocating. That doesn't sound good.
That's terrifying. Hey, chat, watch Dar's health. Oh, chat's covering Dar's health. Never mind.
Hey, chat. Can I get a regen by any chance? That'd be pretty poggers. I love you, Keeper.
That's what we need. Okay. Thank you for the lurk, Siren. Mwah.
Bro, Where the fuck is this chest? I've dug such a massive fucking hole.
Oh, dig straight down until you hit rock. And dig out from there.
Oh, what the fuck are you? Why am I on fire?
Who's genociding? I want... What? No, why do I get love? When the watch-along starts. Wait, what watch-along are you doing, Dar?
What?
What watch-along are you doing?
Watch along.
Yeah. They said, that they'll be back for the watch-along.
Oh yeah, I wanted to do the watch along. That was actually supposed to be yesterday. I forgot.
Oh.
I got distracted. No one said anything in the chat, so I didn't think anyone wanted to do it.
Oh, well, Chubbs was like, I'll be back for the watch-along, so...
I didn't know what to watch.
Well,
I need to stop suffocating.
do you know what you should do? Dragon Ball Z Abridged or something. Do something stupid. Okay, we need farmland. We need farm plots. I need wood. I need nitrate powder. If you have nitrate powder, let me know, okay?
I'm trying to focus on not dying right now.
Have you tried just not dying? Bruh. Bruh. Just fucking don't die, man. Bruh. Anyways, okay. I know this part's boring, chat. I do apologize. But this is needed for this game.
Chat, any help you guys can give me to dig this hole faster? I would love you a long time.
What the fuck?
I want the chest.
Yoru, good morning, Yoru. How you doing? I like the little uppies emote. Wait. I don't even need that animated. I could have somebody just do me the uppies emote. Chat, somebody go call Pink. Somebody wake up Pink right now. Pink, I need an emote.
Are we in redeem area at the moment, or is that in cooldown?
There are some redeems available. Not all of them.
Yo, if Energize is available, can I have that, chat? Man, I'm suffering trying to get this fucking treasure.
Because you're super cute, that's why. That's why you get pinned. Get pinned, motherfucker. Deal with it. Oh, I need to look up a crafting table. What's it called, chat? Chat, can somebody tell me what crafting table is called in this game? I didn't leave. How long was I gone? You were gone for quite a while, Luna. I talked to specifically you and you ignored me, so I figured you hated me too. Oh, there's Energize. Nice. Workbench, thank you! Oh my god. Okay, I need... If you have any workstation books, let me know. Or forge books. We need 4 of them, unless you can make a workbench.
I might be able to. I've used a lot of those books, I think.
God damn it. If you can make a workbench, let me know, and we'll supply you with the stuff.
Alright, well, I'm not returning until I find this chest.
I'm gonna go broke first. Good chubbers, please. Also Vanya. Oh, because you added the "why am I pinned?" So I read it and I'm like, oh, this is just a normal thing to say, right? Chub, you're such a good boy, such a good boy. And Vanya, you're also good. You're a good little turtle. Good turtle.
Hey, can regen be active too? I'm just like asking nonstop for these fucking
They have no points left.
Oh, that's sad.
Good turtle. Yeah, Vanya's a good turtle.
Oh, look at you.
Ocean getting most points for being top helper. You're a good raccoon too, okay? You're a good raccoon. Yeah, Vanya's a turtle.
You don't understand how much I've dug out of this fucking area. I cannot find this fucking chest.
Oh, good morning, Cheese. How you doing, Cheese?
Ocean, I love you. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna make a trench, but I'm also working on... Fuck. I'm also working on getting clay so that I can make stuff.
Clay? I got about 1,500 of that.
Yeah. Oh my god. His fucking limbs. Mwah. I do think it's funny that I've so aggressively influenced your algorithm that you're getting turtles everywhere now. And then I'll stop for a little while and your algorithm will go back to normal and I start calling you turtle again and there's like, haha, we're ready for it.
Oh, the trippy underground is not.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheese. Sorry, Cheese. There aren't a lot of messages. Oh, I thought I answered it already, actually, is what the problem was. Is that I thought I responded to you. I'm like, yeah, obviously I'm getting clay. Like, what else would I be doing? And then apparently I didn't actually talk. So, you know, it would help if I was talking to you instead of just thinking I'm talking. Hello, honey. How you doing? Mwah. You're a tiger? Yeah, exactly. See, Luna's a tiger. Putting the bullshit. It is so funny. I spell. Do you want to accept your death in my hole?
I'm gonna die in this hole and never get my loot back, and you're not gonna get these 10 pipes on me.
I will hunt down your loot, Dar. I will not let you be without your loot. If you die out there, I will. If you pin it, you tell me where it is. We'll go together.
Here's the problem. It's in the rock, I'm pretty sure. So I have to dig through rock. I want this chest. I'm not leaving until I get this fucking chest.
Gene, if I redeem... Can I say Maka? I can say Maka. If Maka's okay with that, I would say Maka. You finally find it? Hey,
it was under rock. The first rock I broke, it popped up.
Your vocal cords are so crisp. Thank you, honey.
Fucking bitch-ass chest is locked.
By the way, chat, we are going to be dropping my vocal, my voice acting demo reel this week. Get ready for that. And the same thing is if we hit 100 likes on the Twitter post, we will be doing a karaoke stream where you all can choose what I sing. We also might make it worse by adding alcohol, and you can pay to make me take shots. Well, not shots. Well, casual drinking. We're not going to break TOS. Twitch. Boy?
Gene.
Yes?
I just went through 10 lockpicks.
Do you not have any more? Is it stuck?
No, I don't have any more.
I have 3. Where are you? I will come out there.
I am breaking it with my hammer at the moment.
I got this. It's okay, Luna. I know you wouldn't hate me. Boy from Maka?
I refuse to leave this hole.
Maka.
This is my home.
Maka, you're such a good boy. Such a good boy for me. Thank you so much for the redeem. Oh shit. They're getting a vote. Where's my steroids? We're good. Okay. I'm coming for you, Dar. B, celebration. Celebration is so much fun. I love getting raids when we're playing this game because we get the stupid thing where you kill the zombies and they blow up with the confetti. Hey, thank you for the follow, honey. Thank you. Mwah. Appreciate it. I fucking know why there's so many turtles. Exactly. I summon turtles. Chat. Be turtles. Be the turtles. Become turtles. Chat. Did you know that we can be bees? Chat, we can be bees. Good news, chat. We can be bees. And no, everybody's gonna be bees. Dar, I have an idea. Okay, so we're gonna do something stupid. Every time we see a stump, we have to get together and one of us has to break the stump because there's a chance of getting bees. We can do rock, paper, scissors. we'll figure out a way to do rock, paper, scissors. Okay, you either drop a weapon, you drop a stone, or you drop paper. Can I be a teacup? You can. I'm trying to help you, Dar, but they're sending snakes after me. Drink, but cheers. Thank you for the hydrate.
I've done 2,000 damage to this cache.
I'm getting close. Dar, I'm getting close. Have you thought about putting points into like lockpicking?
I'm going to, actually. I was planning on doing that on my next level because I've been lockpicking a lot, but...
Chat, don't you dare pull them near me. Chat, don't you dare pull them near me. Getting close. Fuck. No, I heard it. I heard it. Where is it? Where? There it is. Fuck ass bird that I hate. Oh god damn it, Vanya. God, your coyote is so skilled at dodging. Vanya has the best coyote.
So many debuffs.
Okay.
Hey, so you wanna know something cool?
Did I? Oh, I'm sorry, Evil.
They gave us increased melee damage. I one-shot the box.
Oh my god, it's amazing. Okay, well, I'm not coming out there anymore.
You wanna know what was inside of it?
What?
10k casino tokens.
Oh, shit, that's sick. Okay, so you have a shit ton of money.
So much money.
Stretch, thank you.
I, however, move insanely slow, and I can't get out of this hole because all these debuffs and all the debuffs I have from the choking. So I'm gonna die in the hole still.
That's okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, they're spawning boxes on me. Need the books. Use the books. Okay. Oh god, oh god. Fucking. There it is. Not missed.
Hey chat, you guys have the jumper name? Is that available?
Yeah, is jump available? God, I'm missing the. There we go. Cut. No, don't reverse me, you bastards! Why would you?
Yo. What the fuck? Weird spot.
Oh, somebody increase my melee damage. Thank you. Oh god, Ocean, I love you, Ocean. Oh. Fuck ass, fucking. Yeah, well, I have a big stretch. Oh, did you sub to me? Wait, you subbed to me? Luna, thank you so much for the sub! Mwah, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Also, if we do have jump, can somebody give Dart jump so he can get out of his hole?
I got out finally.
Oh.
I do have like 30 HP. I almost died in the fucking hole. But I've successfully made it out. Oh hey, meds. Oh hey.
Wait, y'all can do you holy shit. Oh no, we went up in difficulty.
Wait, what?
We went up in difficulty.
What?
We went up in difficulty.
They can do that?
Yeah? Do you see all this stuff now? They have big head, bucket head, celebrate, dance off, don't miss, leech, ragdoll, silly, supply books. It's not like it's not, you know, bad, but we got a lot of stuff. That leech. Wait, leech is a good thing. Leech gives me health regen. I can heal Yay! What's ragdoll do?
You guys can do supply, bro. Not if you guys want to be big help. Those books, you should give us those anytime you're able to.
Mm-hmm. Chat, I'll. Evil Diva, what's up, Evil Diva? Mwah. What's up, Evil Diva? Mwah. Hello, Sammy. Sammy? Wait, was Sammy here? Is Sammy Lauren here?
Oh yeah, we were talking about what book were you curious if I had anything up on?
Forge.
Where would I check that at?
Oh, ragdolls make zombies fall. Got it. Oh, you need to make a workbench. See if you can make a workbench. You go to the thing and then you click the thing. Oh, here, I'll stretch just for you. Here you go.
No, I need to be level 10. I'm only level 2.
Oh, okay, good.
Anyways, I'm going to the shop. I have a lot of money. I want to see if there's anything fun to buy.
I'm also going to the shop. Let me buy the forge books if there are forge books, because I have 6. And that way I can make a workbench and we can make your new spears.
Shouldn't I buy the forge book, though? Because I'm assuming I have more money than you.
Okay, you can buy it and give me the forge book. I just don't want us to buy the Forge book and then you'd be like, hey, yeah, I'm 4. I still need 6 more.
Yeah, I'm at 4 now.
I hydrated. Thank you for the hydrate. I didn't make you... Vanya, I did not make you homeless. In fact, I made you juice this morning. You know what kind of juice I made? Chad, I got a juicer. Oh my God, I want to talk about my juicer. I love my juicer. Gotta go. I need to sleep. Bye, Maka. Mwah. Sleep well. I got a juicer. I made carrot, pineapple, apple, ginger juice. It's in the fridge waiting for you.
God, I want a juicer.
Can you say? I cannot say that because it's a lie. Refund Aura. Refund Aura right now. It was only like $60.
You're supposed. You have redeems. You're supposed to say.
No, refund it. Refund it. Refund it. I refuse. I refuse.
Those aren't the rule. It's nothing TOS.
You want some? Nova, you can have some. You can have some of my juice. I kicked Vanya out of my walls. And into my home. And into my home. Because now they have their own bed. New vote. Oh, no. Random tough horde. Soldier horde. Soldier horde ain't bad.
Oh, we need to get next to each other if we have a horde coming up.
Soldier horde ain't bad, actually. Big Mama horde ain't too bad either, because like they're kind of slow. I don't know what the random tough horde is, and that one I'm kind of worried about.
Hey, we can buy blueberry seeds from him.
Oh, we need those. Definitely.
So we wanted forge books, you said?
Yeah, forge books.
I'll kill you.
I got some bad news for you, buddy.
None.
There ain't shit here.
That's fair. I think I probably bought them last time.
He does got a cooking grill and pot. You want to just buy those?
Oh, yeah, grill and pot we definitely need.
Alright.
Oh, God, it is 50-50 split right now. Dog getting railed by Big Mama. Ooh, now it's random tough horde.
Alright.
Let's see what we got.
You can hold on to these.
Well,
I'll take it. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, this is such a...
You also said you wanted that. Oh, it spawned outside! Back up, brother!
Oh, shit. My gun broke.
Run.
All right, keep going out the front door.
I'm getting warnings. We need to run outside if you can.
Fuck. Help. Thank you. Okay. Oh, I'm just gonna bleed out.
Heal.
I have nothing to heal with.
Here.
Nope, we're dead.
Heal.
We're dead. This is what happens when you take all the healing stuff.
You didn't tell me. I legit just got these first aid kits from that.
That's so fucking stupid. They should not be able to spawn in there. That's supposed to be a fucking safe zone.
I did not think they would spawn. I thought they would get it as soon as we left. That is unfortunate.
Yeah. We could have actually had a fun time killing those. Oh, wow. Fucking lame. I was looking forward to actually fighting those.
Saying that was actually kind of unfortunate.
And nothing heals. Damn it. Well, I know that now, Ocean.
Alright, I'm just going to give you this here. Because I got some of these from Gathering. Take these so you don't fucking die randomly.
Thank you.
And then here's your last resort. You need health.
Jean loves
Right
me.
up
I do
there.
love you, Luna.
Morning.
Let me see what we have.
Buy some
Okay.
shit, Get the hell out.
It's quiet now, chat.
Outside is a first aid kit for you when you're done. It's on the ground.
Sweet. Okay, how much? Oh, shit. We're actually some good stuff here. Let me see if I can sell this. Need that. Fuck, can I finally make one of these? We need a forge book. If we can just get forge books, I can make a forge, and I can start making us the good shit that we need.
Oh, you want a guarantee, huh? Well, maybe you should try Shamway.
I don't hate anybody, chat. I don't know why you think
No.
I hate somebody.
Random question.
Yes.
So if a food says max stamina bonus, does that fade?
Yes.
permanent?
It fades.
Oh, so the vegetable stew, I don't get to keep that buff forever?
No.
That's sad.
Yeah, but it's still good. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. You know what the worst part is? If we could get a forge book, if we could get forge books, I could make us bikes. I just need 4 forge books. All we need. Okay. Dar?
Yeah.
So there is a place that I want to go. I'm trying to remember where it is at. I think it's okay. It's not south, is it? Shoot, I gotta find it. But there's a place we can go that has. We need to start looting bigger places, and there's a place with boars and shit on it. It's wherever all like the big farms are.
That is what I've been doing. I'll have you know.
Looting the big places. Have you found the boar farm?
Not the boar farm yet, but that's how I got that.
Hey, well, Kitten, how you doing? Bees, chat. We can be bees. Okay, chat. Okay, chat. We got this. We're gonna go find the boar place. I do not canonically hate you.
I'll check the northern area if you want to check out the other areas.
Mm-hmm.
Start to unlock. If we unlock the map, does it unlock for both of us or no?
I do not know. No, it does not. I remember I was trying to hunt you, and I just saw you going into the gray void. We went through here, right? Yeah, no, I killed that area. Okay. I don't. Why would I hate anybody? You know what? I'm here, chat. Proof I don't hate you. Give me a second. Go to my channel. Cut it down. Back to Twitch. Go to my channel. Chat. Here you go. You ready? Here you go. You ready? Alexa, stop. I love you, chat. I'm willing to spend money on you. Oh, thank you for the thing. Thank you. I appreciate it. For the follow. Thank you for the follow. And there you go, chat. Bribery? Of course I'll bribe you all. Gumbert. Oh, Gumbert. Hello, Gumbert. Gumbert, you now have a subscription. Enjoy that. I love your name, Gumbert.
Question, which if you don't want to know about it on stream, I won't say it, but I'm just curious. Have you seen what Twitch did recently?
Oh yeah, no, we totally talk about that. The thing about like.
Okay, yeah, about the view bots. You remind me because it's also affected with gifted subs.
Wait, it's also done what?
They affected gifted subs from someone like with a close in with the coding. So now lurkers. By the way, anyone in chat, if you are a lurker by heart, make sure you type at least once, or do a point redemption, or it will not count you in a chat. It will count you as a bot. If you don't type a single message in the stream, it no longer counts you as a lurker with their new system. Second system is gifted subs. So you want to know what they decided to introduce for some reason?
What?
So you know how used to be gifted subs, they did go to people that pop into your community a decent bit, right?
Yes.
Now they focus more on bots and not people of your community.
How?
Because the way they have that system says, because they're like, well, it makes it where people will gift.
Hi, Mayday. How you doing?
Subs.
Welcome.
Yeah, Vanya posted the link about it. The shit's actually fucking crazy.
Chess trying to kill me again. Shake your dreads. God, I hear them. Okay, there's a bookstore in here that I'm gonna go hit up.
Alright. Just keep the spirit ones for me is all I ask.
I will make sure to give you spears. Everybody, be nice to Vanya. Vanya is one of the greatest members of my community because they have, God, done so much for me. I really...
What the fuck? Yo, dance off going on right now?
They got giant heads. What the fuck am I being attacked by? Luna, please stop right with what you're saying right now. But I do appreciate you, Luna. Oh, please be kind. My God, the dogs have giant heads.
Giant head dogs.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Gene, you're hot. Thank you, Siren. I appreciate it. Oh, you shrunk them.
Wait, they can make them tiny?
Oh, they have giant heads and they're tiny.
Evil, you can lurk in streams. It just won't count you as a lurker unless you at least type once or do a chat routine.
Fuck, where is it? There it is. Oh, God damn it, chat. There goes my lowering the damage on things. Okay. What do you mean deafen? Mwah. I don't mind getting bullied too much. It is fun, though it occasionally frustrates me. They're more like ballheads. Exactly.
New coding is so fucking weird.
Yeah, it does explain a lot, though. But I feel better now about... Deafen makes me deaf? Oh, God, no. Oh,
I would not have guessed that.
Well, maybe I could have made the zombies deaf, you know? Maybe I've been like, hey, yo, everybody, like, the zombies can't hear you sing. But I like this fuck ass crawler over here. It's just with this giant ass head.
Oh my God!
Look at him!
They're so tiny with big fucking heads. What is that? I just saw one. Oh, that is fucking amazing.
Oh, y'all deafened me.
Oh, I'm deafened too. No wonder I didn't hear this fucker.
Oh my God, you bastard. Oh, you can hear it a tiny little bit.
Okay, deafen sucks. I don't like this.
What's going on? Is everybody being okay? Luna, please stop, or I will have to time you out. I do appreciate your enjoyment of me, but please relax.
Oh.
Did I see your message? Probably not, Siren. What's up? Do you draw your models? I do not. My model I have purchased from a website, and I will be having a custom model done very soon.
Okay. Have you tried shooting your gun with deafened? It's
Yes.
funny.
It's very quiet.
Just hear the bullet hit. That's it.
We will be doing a fundraiser for that, and that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, books. Use.
Oh, I've got a lot of medical supply crafting books apparently.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm level 10 at it already.
Nice. God, I see the redeems. Fuck ass.
I hate deafen. I hate
Oh,
deafen.
yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, they're spawning a bunch of zombies on me.
Don't save. I've had shit being spawned on me too. They spawned a fat guy on me.
What am I getting hit by?
Like
Fucking dog. Oh, wait a second. Did they just pull them all to you?
I do not draw.
Uh-huh.
I wish I drew. I wish I was a good drawer.
It takes practice and fucking. What's hitting me?
It takes a lot of practice.
What's hitting me? What hit me? Chat, I don't know what hit me.
I pay for my draws. I'm like, hey, you do good stuff.
Exactly. Look, I don't want to shoot the dog. I just it's trying to kill me.
Improves workstation crafting skill. I should learn this.
Wait. No. That's the Forge book, isn't it?
Yeah, it was called, I think, Forged Ahead or something like that.
That's the book I need.
Mhm.
Don't you fucking dare! I'm so close to having what we need.
Well,
Uh-oh.
if it makes you feel better, I'm 7 away now.
Why do they have buckets? Really?
What? Buckets? I did it. No, I did it. I'm not that much of a dick.
I don't know that. Okay. I got a commando hat. What the fuck is this?
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh my god, I forgot we had jump. That was weird.
Yeah. Twitch hates you. Oh, I'm sorry, Twitch hates you. Don't worry, I hate Twitch.
Ooh. I found an undiscovered village. That's a lot of houses to start looting.
Ooh. What the fuck? Why is the vulture a bucket?
Wait, just a bucket?
I think it's
I'm not gonna lie, this bucket is kind of fucking funny.
I think it makes it so you can't headshot him. Okay, did I not get Forge Ahead?
I do
let's
have
see.
one Forged Ahead book for you though.
God, I'm 4 away.
This is death and
I
life.
know, right? It's so annoying. I don't want to leave here.
It's so long. What's annoying because I'm getting into an actual town, so I'm like, oh, this is gonna fucking
16
suck.
seconds. 16 seconds.
All right, cool. All right, any big, cool-looking buildings in this town?
You know, if you find like something that's like 5-star, then we'll both rush it. Or I guess 4-star. I'll come over. There we go. Ah, Jesus.
Oh my god, I can hear again.
Yeah. Yeah, the slowness was something other people did to me, unfortunately. Mwah.
See, that's the one downside. Anytime you get debuffed, I also get debuffed.
Enjoy. Oh, Mets, yay!
2-star, no star, 1-star. Come on, there's gotta be at least a kind of difficult building here, right?
We're gonna break into Whataburger, chat.
What a burger.
That's not even a bird that you all summoned. I forget there's actual birds in this game. Not just the ones that you all bring out. Alright, here we go. Thank you for the regen. This game's gotten so much better with better guns.
Bro, I fucking love this fucking AK, man. This thing's so sick.
Even just the hunting rifle is great, because I'm just one-tapping
the
zombies
hunting
right
rifle's
now.
Amazing too.
Cooking book, hell yeah. We're gonna just eat some sham. Yeah, you do know the annoying ones that I hate. This bird that I hate.
This bird that I hate.
Fucking useless ass. Oh, hey, sweet. I found a shovel mod.
Oh my
I'll keep
gosh,
that.
wait. Just reminded me of something. I trust Che. So Che, because I see you type in, DM me so I don't forget. I want to message you with something I'm going to be doing in the future.
He's gonna be doing me.
You know what I'm messaging him about, because I told you the idea I was having.
You have a lot of ideas, Dar.
It's the one that involves 7 things.
Oh, yeah. 6. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were talking about, but I wasn't sure. Chat, where do I find
That is true.
books?
I do have a lot of random ideas.
Yeah.
You're not wrong on that.
I'm actually meeting with a person to help me do some of my ideas, hopefully. Oh, enjoy being outside. I tried to DM you, but I can't find you. You can't find Daroard?
You can't find me, Che? What the?
Are y'all not friends anymore? That's great. A bird!
He's chained on my friend anymore.
Fucking...
I'm gonna fucking cry.
Shit, 20 seconds, 20 seconds. Fuck.
This will be my last reason.
Okay, we have 8 seconds, chat. I have 8 seconds to clear this place before y'all fuck me again. Here it comes. They're slow. Okay, let's get to somewhere safe.
I'm in a safe spot, so let me check real quick.
A new vote has started. Oh, thank God, new...
What is the vote for?
Oh no, is this a horde vote?
Oh God, I fucking hope not. I think I'm pretty far from you.
Oh shit, okay. Oh no. Boop. Boop. Okay.
I found Jay.
Conche, nice. There's nothing in these places right now. I got this. We might need to just go make some smoothies and go somewhere else because I'm not getting any good loots.
That's kind of what this is starting to look like, I feel.
Yep.
You can look at where I'm at the map. Like, we're at a different end. You good? Oh, did the vote just happen? What'd it do? And you got celebrate. Not gonna lie, celebrate's actually kind of nice when I know when they're dead.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, you're actually dead. You turned into fucking confetti.
Y'all are trying. Y'all are trying.
Why am I taking... Did they activate something where melee attacks are doing damage to us?
I don't know. Okay, let me out. Fucking hate the birds. No, what the fuck? What the fuck? I can't hit the bird. I shot the bird.
We take damage when you miss your target. That's what they did.
What?
Yeah, they have a buff where if you miss, you take damage.
What?
They can activate that on us now.
What the fuck do you mean if I miss, I take damage?
Yep, that's something they can give us.
So a shotgun's always going to take damage because there's going to be parts of it that are going to miss.
Wait, actually, hold up. That's actually fucked.
You gave me a miss debuff? You fucking bastards. Okay, I'm gonna remove that one. Is gonna be the only thing I'm gonna remove because that's fucking stupid. That is so stupid.
Might not affect it because I could see the shotgun is counting as long as you hit hit a target with it. It doesn't count as a missing. It's like if you completely whiffed it, I feel like.
Well, yeah, but the bird wings don't count as part of the target. So even if you fucking hit the bird, it doesn't count.
Yeah, that one's rough. That's why I almost died there too, because I fucking missed with my spear, and I'm like, why am I taking damage? What's going on?
All right, I'm gonna remove the fucking miss debuff. That's gonna be the. If I can remove that, that's the only thing I'm gonna remove. Because there's no point. It's just fucking. If I die because y'all swarmed me with shit, that's fine. But not because I have a gun, I'm shooting them, and now I'm dying.
Nah, you know, I agree. I think that's fair.
Cheating. Y'all fucking summon every fucking thing on me in the entire world. Slow me down, hurt me, reverse me into things. Don't miss means you need to do headshot only. If you miss, you get hurt. Okay, yeah, no.
Oh,
That's...
it's headshot only?
Yeah, no. No. That's
fucked. That's even worse.
It's yeah. No.
That's so much worse. I don't like that one. I'm bad at this game.
I will leave everything else. Everything else. That one I will remove. You know what?
Is a 3-star worth doing?
Vanya, that one seems a bit long. That one seems like the I will increase the fucking price of this permanently. Is 3-star worth doing? What's the place?
A radio station.
Oh yeah, feel free. You can take it. Woof woof arf bark, spin in a circle, chasing my tail before looking up at chat like a cute little puppy, tail going faster. I love you so much, chat. Woof. Please, may I have my belly rubbies? Woof woof. I'll be a good bye. Arf arf. This is inflation. Y'all have activated the secret debuff inflation?
Oh, you didn't die. Fuck.
Chat, I'm sorry, this is a recession economy now. Vanya has activated the recession economy. That's what it said. I read it as it said. Goodbye. You've activated the secret debuff. Recession economy. God, you know, this game would be so much better if we could get a fucking workbench.
So, you want to hear something funny?
What?
Just 'cause I think you'll get amused out of this because I took it and didn't give it to you. You remember how you were trying to get me to sneak a lot in
Yeah.
the one area when we were playing, right?
Yeah.
I now have a thing where if I sneak over trash, I make no noise.
Fuck's it. I also opened up all the floor.
What? How did you achieve that?
Dynamite. Oh, sometimes dynamite happens. Chubb, I'll submit for you. By the way, chat, remember, when I do my big 7 Days to Die event, you will be able to redeem shit to make the game worse for people and kill them. Hey, Lucian! What's up? Thank you for the raid. How you doing? Welcome. And you won. Well, Lucian, you know what that means? That you get one free gifted sub. Hello. Respect on a plate. I like your name. But if you're here to respect somebody, clearly you're in the wrong place. Gift a sub. Shit, I hear things happening. I'm gifting you a sub right now. Fuck! Why would you do this to me, chat? Yeah. The raid did this? The raid did this to me? Why does the raid hate me? Hello, new people. Hi, my name's LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, a writer, a flirt. We're currently dying. What were you streaming? What were you playing? Somebody check out Repo. Repo's an amazing game. I hope you had a lot of fun. Hope you had a lot of fun with Repo. Okay. Whew, we're calming down. I got this, chat. I got this. I forgot I have this.
Okay. Don't miss this activated. Be careful.
Did y'all put the aim debuff?
Yep, it's on right now. Next 40 seconds.
Y'all lucky I haven't had a chance to remove it yet.
I want you to know, whoever did that was a devil, did that at the worst fucking timing. I was using my AR shooting a group of them and just took about 50 damage.
Oh god,
because I realized at the end. That did so much.
Fucking hell. Let me through. Don't let me die. All right, we're just gonna stay alive, chat. We're just gonna stay alive. We're just staying alive. But yes, hi. It's hitting me. Staying alive. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, thank God. I can't do that right now. You're gonna have to wait. Why is there music? What is going on?
Oh, no, trippy with music. All right. We're having a good time now.
Hey, I think things have calmed down. Anyways, hello. My name's LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, writer, a flirt. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope your stream was great. I'm going to be paying attention now to chat. Hi, Lucian. If you need a raid and run, feel free to do so. If you want to hang out longer, feel free to do so as well. I promise to treat your community just like I treat my own, except a little bit nicer because my community is being dicks right now. Okay. Okay. How was Repo? I hope you had a lot of fun with Repo.
Oh, I should not open that door. I should not open that door.
Okay, Shay, hey, I haven't done anything. I mean, Shay, you do things to me sometimes. Okay. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, I don't hate anybody, chat. I love you all so very, very much. Why would I ever hate you? Wadim streamer? Meow. Look up at chat. Give me a head pat. I'm begging, please, meow. I'm not a cat. Please, chat, meow. Scratch my head with feet. Scratch my head with feet? Scratch my head with feet? Don't deafen again, please. It's not a buff, it's a worsening. Why do you want to deafen?
I didn't know Gene was into that shit.
I don't want to be deaf. I don't want to be deaf, chat. We did give a shout out, right? We got a shout out to Lucian over there, who I appreciate so much for rating. Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm just gonna... like the quiet. I don't like the quiet.
Oh, I'm in that 3-star area right now. I fucking hate this. This sucks. I am not a fan of this right now. Oh, it's 5 minutes long.
It's 5 minutes long. It makes the game so awkward just to sitting here. We gotta chalk more, Dar, what's your favorite color, Dar?
Purple.
Why do you like purple so much?
Because it's actually such a pretty color. I love
it. It is a pretty color. Chat, what's your favorite color? I know another way to break Gene. Fight me. Fight me. Fight me.
Oh, sorry.
I flustered Gene. You have not flustered me. What do you mean? Praise Ray, sweetie, gorgeous, lovely Ray. How are you doing? Thank you so much for the redeem, Ray. I hope you know that you're an absolutely incredible person. You are so. Oh wait, this is a chest I can just open. You are so incredible. You bring such a light to this community, and you deserve all the love and the support in the entire world.
Oh, motherfucking stinks! Sorry.
You're just the absolute best, Ray, and I'm so glad that you're a member of my community. Bookcase, forge book. No forge book. You're lucky I'm keeping spear books for you still. But yes, Ray, and I do hate that you've had such an issue with family recently, but I hope that improves because you deserve somebody who cares for you and treats you so kindly, so nicely, so amazingly. Mwah, 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 mwah. Okay.
Man.
It's quiet. I hate the quiet.
How's your quiet game going?
It's awful. It's just so bad. Chat, I need to get music. Give me a second. I need something. I'm going insane.
By the way, whoever sent me that food, you gave me.
Wait a second. Wait a fucking second. Chat, I haven't been capturing audio correctly this entire time. What the fuck is hitting me? Could you please fucking I couldn't hear it being hitting me. So I'm just getting fucked over by one fucking Nobody complained about Dar's volume this entire time. No, people could hear you, but they couldn't hear you as good as you should have been able to, because I didn't have the audio capture on for Discord. I had it for everything, because I have a stupid fucking die. Yes, Dar's getting muted until I can fix the audio. Don't say slurs.
Sounds.
And nobody was complaining about the echo that was going on? Because game capture audio isn't working anymore. Why is game capture audio not working?
It's hard to test if the audio works while tepid also. You have a vulture on you, I'm just letting you know to be nice because you're messing with stuff.
Oh yeah, it can't hear anything in the game, so it's not gonna... Why are you lowering the durability of my armor?
What'd you say about the food? Oh, whoever sent me food, you gave me a blueberry pie. I appreciate it. Oh, no. Oh, Blur. Oh, Blur, why? Wait. I think I found the area you're asking about. Were you looking for Bob's
Yes,
Boars?
yes, we're going in there together.
I just found it. Yeah, it's a 3-star area.
I'm just gonna stay here until fucking... There we fucking go.
Oh my
okay.
god, I can hear again.
Chat, I need you to tell me, can you hear any game audio? You cannot. Fucking hell. Okay. First off...
Like pina colada.
Oh my god, chat, I have accidentally made so many application audios that for some reason the game says it's capturing Fall Guys. Fall Guys isn't running, but 7 Days to Die has volume now. Okay. Is the game too loud or too quiet, chat? Let me know. I need to fix all of my audio later. Can everybody hear Dar okay?
Hi. I'm a shark that likes to kill things.
And can everybody hear the music? Walk me through this, chat. Can you all hear me? Yes, you all can hear me. Gina, are you good? I'm not good because all of my audio is so fucked. No. So everything was going through... Okay, so here's what was happening. I had audio capture for output source, right? Dar's quiet, and so everything was going through one audio source, which means things weren't split, meaning I couldn't change the volume based on things. So that's why Dar's volume was going through the same thing as everything else. Wait, what the fuck is this? Dar, speak?
Hi.
Okay, y'all, give me 3 seconds, please, unless you don't want to hear Dar. I'm just gonna permanently mute Dar. Dar has no volume in this game anymore. 3 seconds. 3 seconds so I can fix Dar. I beg of you. Dar, please talk.
Hello. I am a shark that likes to murder boars that explode into confetti, leaving no
Oh, yeah.
body to kill the
Wait, are you
boar.
taking over the boar place?
I killed a boar, yeah.
Don't
Did you want me to
break the... Yeah, I want to go with you. It's one of the higher star places.
It was only 3-star. I didn't think you wanted to be in here.
Fine, you take it. It's
No,
fine.
I'll wait.
I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna get killed by everything chat has summoned.
How far even are you? Oh, look at the map. Look how far we actually are from each other.
Yeah, I give up.
Zoom out.
No, I cannot zoom out.
All right, what do you want me to keep an eye out in here?
There is corn in there that is super corn. Do not eat it. If you see a recipe for like glue, we need that.
Super corn, eat it. Recipe for glue. Got it.
And there might be like a super corn like seed recipe. We need that. Why does this... Did you all break my fucking pipe gun again?
Wait, they can break our weapons? That's
yes,
fun.
they've been reducing my equipment stamina, and all I keep seeing is my pipe gun constantly be less. Okay. Fucking... You'll break my pipe? Yeah, I know you will. I know you fucking... I have no water, chat. I'm so tired. I'm so tired, Grandpa. Chat, I'm so tired.
Yeah, that's probably why a lot of my durabilities are lower too. Because whenever they do that to you, it happens to me because.
Who's a bad kitty? You're a bad kitty. Lucky Horse 57. Hello, Lucky Horse 57. Lovely to meet you. Oh, it's just oh.
Hey, well, you want? I found another Forge book that makes you any happier.
It does. The Forge book totally makes me happy.
Oh fuck, zombie!
Oh. Spawns Eater of Gods. I would not be surprised, chat. You would not even surprise me anymore. I will trade you the... Alright, what time is it, chat? It's 8:35. I think we're coming up on the end of stream.
Chat,
we're coming up on the end of stream here, chat.
Gene. You're breaking Gene.
We've technically gone a half an hour longer than normal. I just want a forge book. Wait, how many forge books do you have? You have 2?
2.
Alright, chat. We have an option here. Either we end stream now. We can end stream now. Or we can go until we get the forge book. But there has to be a reason for me to keep going. Why should I keep going, chat? Convince me of why I should keep going. I need a reason for me to keep going.
Just give me a reason.
Give me a good fucking reason of why I should keep going. We won't mess with you. Bullshit. No. That's part of the fun.
Jeez, I fucking know you're gonna keep doing that.
Like, you're not allowed to stop messing with me. I mean, that's half the fucking point. We can call you Stinky. You're gonna call me Stinky anyways. Because I really need that book. I can get it next time.
I mean, we haven't made a great achievement yet today, so, that would be our great achievement.
Getting the forge book would be when I do it for an ara. I do my own aras. Yeah. We need a great achievement. We need a great achievement. And I do love you all. Fine. Okay, fine. If we can make it to the forge book, we only need 2 more forge books as long as Dar hasn't used any forge books, right?
Yeah, totally.
Dar, have you used any of the forge books? I will end stream right fucking now if you've used the forge books.
No, I haven't.
I
just like to fuck with you.
I would, I'd delete this fucking.
That would be the last straw. You're like, yeah, fuck it, I'm done.
Because I do love chat, especially Vanya, and Vanya has put my love on the premise of me continuing this stream. I will keep going with a broken arm. By the way.
Oh, look at you.
I mean...
What's this? Super corn.
Yes, we need super corn.
Super corn stash. Super corn seed recipe.
That's what we need.
Should I learn it or grab it?
You don't want to farm, do you?
No.
Okay, then just grab it.
All right, sounds good. Do you want me to grab
Casey?
these other super corn recipes? Not other recipe, but like the actual super corn
Your
seeds
points
too?
for 7 days to die will be redeemed. Will likely be returned if it wasn't used. What the fuck? What the fuck? So we'll continue going until we get the fucking thing. I just appeared to get water. I hope you enjoy water. We're going slightly longer with stream chat. You get a longer stream until we get the fucking Forge book. That's the one goal. The one goal. Oh, well, what was the redeem? It's... I do not see any redeems, Shay. Been trying to get my attention. What's up, Shay? What kind of attention do you want? Mwah.
Whoa, you're fast.
I was a good girl redeem. What kind of redeem a good bunny? Oh, Shay. Shay, sweetie. For being so very patient. You are a good bunny. Such a good bunny, Shay. Always such a good bunny. 15 minutes ago, by the way, is when we got raided and I got swarmed. So, if that's what happened there, I do apologize.
That's 15 minutes ago. That felt like just a second ago.
That was 17 minutes ago.
God damn.
I know. Fuck it.
Is the corn the only really good thing in here?
Possibly. Unless you can find some bookshelves. Have you found any bookshelves?
Sadly, no. It's all chemistry sets.
Oh, fuck. Mwah. Good bunny. I do have ADD. ADD. Why does it sound wrong? Help me, chat. ADD sounds wrong. I just don't want to die, chat. I just don't want to die. My arm is broken, and I have nothing to repair my arm. I have too much stuff. And I'm like, I could use these books. No, these are Dar's books. I can't use these books. I need to save them for Dar. ADD. Okay.
Hey, that could get rid of your broken arm. Snakes!
Why are you ripping shirts? Shirt rippy? Wait, what do you mean shirt rippy? What do you mean shirt rippy? I didn't rip a shirt. Did somebody hear a shirt ripping sound? I did not rip a shirt. Oh, that's a snake. That was the snake, chat. I don't do that for free. I don't do it for free. You know what the problem is, chat?
You fucking birds.
The problem is that the chat goes over where all the redeems are happening, so every time you redeem, I can't read chat.
Do we need pumpkin seeds or coffee seeds for any reason?
Probably coffee seeds are nice.
Fun.
Technically, all seeds are nice,
Hey, why are you spawning dog on me?
but... Y'all fucking with Dar now?
I don't appreciate that.
I was like, things are really chill over here for a little bit. That's crazy. Oh, there they are. I knew things got too comfortable. Nah, no, Matt. Dar, when you're done, come find me so I can give you books. Hey, thank you for the follow. Thank you. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your time here.
Yeah, I'm just looting the barn right now, and then I'll be heading back.
Okay, we don't need animal fat, but I do need antibiotics. I do need these, I need this, and I need my
So you want to hear
steroids.
something funny?
Yes.
They just spawned a whole bunch of shit on me.
Yes.
But as they did that, I was in a room with destroyable floors, so all the zombies just instantly fell through the. They spawn. I just watch a whole bunch of zombies spawn and then fall through the ground.
What's up, Ocean? Mwah. What can't you do? What's going on? Why did you say Gene? Why do you say I can't? Thank you for the bets. Appreciate it. What did you
see the
do?
amount of shit y'all are spawning on me. I don't
Your bird.
appreciate that.
Shay, why are you committing violence to me?
I'm trying to do parkour. Can you calm down?
Oh shit, okay. Oh, the jump was sick. Oh, the jump hit right when I jumped, so I flew to the top of the roof. Oh, epic. Epic gamer moves, chat. Epic gamer moves. Oh, y'all are the absolute fucking best. That was so cool. Shit, okay, okay. Fuck. Stop. I have
Jay.
G-emotes. Look, it's a clown.
Shay, I saw that.
Did I just see Lucky? Oh, that's toxic. I thought that was... Yeah, fuck with Dar more. Hey, chat, you want to do pull on Dar?
Shay, I saw that.
Thank you, Ocean.
Shay, I will find you. I will do things to the bunny.
Oh my god. Stop it. Get in the hole. Where's the button? Where's the button? There it is. Open the door, open the door, open the door. Do I still have jump? I don't have jump. No. Three, two, one. Fuck, reload, reload. Okay, okay.
Rolls against a Pokemon Batman.
Thank God. Thank you for the dance. Thank you for the dance party, chat. Oh, I love you all so much. Mwah. If you can spawn books, by the way, we can find the fucking Forge book.
How many do we need?
I need, you have 2, so we need 4 total.
I have 3 now.
Okay, then we need 1 more.
Okay, who activated the blur? I am coming for you.
You will.
Whoever activated the blur, I will find you. Oh, I don't know where else I was gonna go.
Dar, don't tell, Vanya said, Dar, don't tell Dar it was me. Okay, got it. It was not Vanya. No, it wasn't Vanya.
Vanya, you'll hear about that tonight.
Smoke time, enjoy your smoke. I didn't panic, chat. That was you. That was you panicking, not me. What? Okay. 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 How do I not have any water? Oh, because I've been drinking beer instead.
Ooh, ammo.
Chat gives you ammo. Chat gives me disappointment.
Alright, I had to try to do this parkour jump. I did it.
I'm proud of you. Oh, a pipe bomb. Okay.
Celebrate? What's celebrate do?
That's the ones where they burst in confetti. It is my favorite one in this entire game. All right, chat. Oh, boy. Oh, don't. Fuck, I almost blew myself up. That would have been bad. What deems? Okay, thank you for the stretch. And thank you for the kiss. Mwah. There you go, Batosa. Get your kiss. Mwah. And thank you for the hydrate. Cheers.
Wait, I remember we looted this area before. There's boxes under these fucking hay bales.
Okay, what deems? What deems? What deems? What deems? What deems? What deems? Okay. Hopefully we can find what we're looking for, chat. I love the pipe bomb. Fucking hell. I don't want this thing that I keep getting, but I just keep getting it.
Hey, Jane.
Yo.
I got 4 forge books on me.
Come to me, come to me, come to me. We gotta make the actual fuck.
I
Chat,
got the last.
Do we need the books, or do we need to actually make the crafting desk?
I think we have to make it. I think just having the books doesn't count.
All right, well, we'll go make the crafting desk. Fuck, if I can find where it is. I'll meet you at
I'm
home.
hoping we can get another. Yeah, I'm heading back home. I'm hoping we can get another fucking. I want to get another horde event. Because I want to see what happens if we complete it. Both times have been an unfortunate fucking times,
Timing,
man.
Yeah, no, the one was like, oh yeah, you just completed an entire giant fucking building. Guess what? Horde event.
Yeah, it happened right when we completed, where we're still like half HP fucked, and then the other one happened in the middle of the fucking area. It's like, no, I want to know what happens if we do a horde event, man.
Okay, we just need to be close to each other. I'm at the museum. 5 Big Macs. We get 5 Big Macs. And this time I have dynamite. Call me Scratch and Sniff. Why?
Yeah, is there any way to force a horde event, chat? Do you see any abilities for that?
Ocean, can they force a horde event?
Oh, does Ocean know about this?
Ocean knows the most. Ocean has been like really sick.
Oh,
sick about this.
Ocean, is there a way to force a horde event? I just want to actually have a chance at a horde event. It sucks because both of our horde events been fucking ruined because it's just unfortunate timing. I want to do one.
Stinky chat.
Hear me out. You know how I ran around, caused a lot of fucking noises, and you got really annoyed at me? What if I run the assassin gear?
Fucking go for it, my guy. I mean, like, motherfucking not. You can see mod count? Okay. Stinky. Literal poop emote. Alright, I'm putting in the spear book for you. Ooh, crafter book.
I'm about like 800 fucking meters away from you right now. I'm on my
Dar,
way.
I have 4 fucking spear books for you.
Let's fucking go. I got 4. Wait, you got 4 spear books? I got 4 fucking forge books.
Poop.
You have a honey on you?
Why, are you infected?
I'm infected, and I'd rather not use the 10% one if you have honey.
I have a 10% one I can just give you. That way you can keep some of your own 10% ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, armor spells? Yo, wait, there's
fruitcake,
armor that
true
just
facts.
gives you more HP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got the alpha.
What's up?
Wait.
What?
Please tell me. I gotta see how this looks on your screen when I get to you. Please tell me this pops up on my character.
Okay.
Oh my fucking god. Modifier, please actually show on my character. No, it doesn't! I'm so sad.
There we go. Freak shake. Yes, chat. Freak shake. New vote has started. Book supplies. Book supplies, chat. Book size. Book supplies. Book
Oh
supplies.
my
Book
God,
size.
book
Please
supplies.
book. Please books.
Chat, we beg of you. Are you running to meet up? I want some books too.
No, I'll keep it. I'll keep them here. I'll make sure you get good books. Books.
Wait,
books.
it spawns in 4 crates. So
Books.
I think it's like 2 like rare ones and then 2 common ones.
Books.
That means we'd each get a rare, each get a common. I'm running.
I feel like I was supposed to do something today. No, that's later on this week.
Alright, you get 1 rare and 1 common. No, 2 of those are mine.
I know. Don't you worry. I won't open all of them.
I want your book. I want your book.
Okay. Okay, I see. Yep. I'll leave you 1 rare and 1 common. Ranger's
The question is,
die.
which one are you gonna take?
And there you go.
You get any good ones?
Bow stuff.
Yeah, that's nice. Ugh, I'm on my way. I'm doing pretty good, Siren. How are you?
Oh, supply bicycle. So maybe we can oh, it's gone. Don't chew on ice. Don't chew on ice. Siren.
That's how I've been live.
siren.
Hey, that's the best we can do.
That is sometimes the best we can do. I'm gonna put a timed bomb on it. If you don't get here in time, just blow it up.
I'm almost
I'm
here. Fuck.
kidding. I'm kidding. I hear you shooting in the distance.
Nah, you didn't die. Whatever. I want to see what's inside. All right, what we got in these books? Oh my God! I got a rifle world.
Nice. Thank you for the follow, Infinity. Oh,
Guess what?
a forge book.
Forge book.
Okay, do you wanna here? Come put the forge book in one of the crates so that I can grab it from there. Infinity,
fuck.
Xfinity. Well, hello, Infinity. How you doing? In the storage crate, you'll see a bunch of spear books too.
Daro, wait, what? I keep hearing my name. What?
Daro, lucky
I
Daro
see
Kith.
people say my name. All right.
How's the game going? The game's going good. The game's going good. We're coming up onto the end here. If I can get this crafting shiz, we should be. Let me know when I can get in.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, by the way, so look at my hat now.
1 sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yes.
Alright, cowboy hat.
It looks so fucking goofy. It's like
Now, you
want to
know why I'm really sad about
What?
it? I was hoping what I had out for a modifier would show. Look at this.
Do you have the cigar?
Look what it was. And there's a fucking cigar on it, too. I was hoping it would show so bad.
Oh my god. All right. Well, Dar.
Yes.
Oh wait, I need to give you this back. There you go. All right. I am going to. Your fucking goofy nerd hat. Okay, workbench. We need mechanical parts, nails, wood, duct tape, forged iron. Okay. Step 1. Nails. Got it. We're gonna go forge some iron. Australia, ice is cold. It's hot outside. True facts.
How much
true
forged
facts.
iron do you need? Oh, wait, I forged steel.
Yeah, we're fine. I got this thing. I just need. What the fuck are they spawning? Where are they spawning this? Where is it?
I found a utility box. I opened it.
Oh,
I don't
what was in
really
it?
own one. More lockpicks and armor repair.
Nice. Okay. We have duct tape. I need 1 more duct tape. Do you have any glue? I have glue. We're fine. Okay. Shit. Chat, give me a second.
Ellie,
while I figure it out.
No mod can trigger any vote. It's random. No! There's no way to force a horde.
Okay. We need mechanical parts. Shoot. Ooh, what's that?
Ooh.
Thank you.
Oh,
Tell me if you find any mechanical parts.
will do.
Okay, we're gonna put this in there because I don't need that. I need forged iron, which I can make. I
Oh
need
my
wood
god,
to
so much shit.
I keep forgetting I didn't put that up there. Okay.
Advanced.
Turn on. Perfect. Okay.
Hey,
Forged
here,
iron.
this is good for you, I think. You like using the bows, right?
I love using the bows, yes.
Alright. Let's... here. Take this.
Oh, hell yeah, duct tape.
Ah! Ah! So just shit spawning everywhere! There's just so much shit!
Okay, we need mechanical parts, and we need forged iron. Forged iron I'm making, so we'll just need mechanical parts.
Alright, I'm trying to give you this, but they keep spawning more shit in here. Take
ready.
these. First there's that,
Okay.
and then here's a mod that's for bows.
Thank you. 1 second while I do this. God, I've been holding on to this for fucking ages now. Yay! Oh, arrow rust mod. Nice. Okay. Ah, fuck. Damn it. You're always in there when I'm trying to get in there.
I'm trying to drop our boxes full.
I'll have to make another one. Or use one of the boxes over here. Okay. Okay, chat. Need the tire. We need that. We'll keep this. We'll leave the legendary parts in there. We'll put the gloves in there. Armor fitting mod. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Arrow rust mod I'll be using. We need those parts. Okay. Now we need mechanical parts, and I'm making forged iron. You're broke now. Spawn electrope. No spawning electrope. That's illegal. It's a crime. 12 plus 8 is 20 plus... Okay, we got enough of that. Okay. Can I make a bow? Wow. All right. I'm going to go look for mechanical parts. Oh, fuck. If I leave here, they're going to kill me, aren't they? Hey, chat, you love me, don't you? Chat, you love me, don't you? You would never want anything negative. You don't have a wrench per chance, do you?
Oh wait, yeah, the mutant corn. You said not to eat the normal mutant corn?
Do not eat the mutant corn.
Alright. I won't eat the super corn, I guess.
Also, I need to find mechanical parts because I can make a wrench. If I can make a wrench, we can finally get mechanical parts. Which is stupid that I need mechanical parts to get mechanical parts. But you know, it is what it is, chat. It is what it is.
I need mechanical parts so I can get mechanical parts, guys.
Yeah, I need mechanical parts so I can get mechanical parts, chat. It's okay if they want to say I hate them. It's their bit. What are they voting for? Dance off. Okay, sweet. You need to be a B? Be a B. I'm asking chat, not Gene. What are you asking? Here we go. We got this. We got this. Give me mechanical parts. 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 Stop giving me metal. I need mechanical parts, please. Any mechanical parts?
Nope, just all metal parts.
How about now?
Nope.
Fuck.
Can you get them from breaking the cars?
If you have a wrench, I know you can. I don't know if you can get it without a wrench, and that's what the problem is right now. Hi, Robin. I'm doing great. We need mechanical parts so that we can get mechanical parts, so we can get mechanical parts, so we can get mechanical parts.
I need water. My hydration's fucked. I'm gonna drink some tea.
Mechanical parts? No, it's plastic. Mechanical parts? No. I'm in the infinite loop of death here. Let me stop the music here because we have music in game. Finally eating. I'm glad you eat. I'm glad you ate. Okay. Chad, if I was a mechanical part, where would I be? Oh, right, I forgot. You all been fucking my armor so aggressively. I'm naked. New vote started. Okay, Dar. Horde.
Yes.
We're going
Horde! Okay, let's go. Right, do you have a med pack on you?
I do. I have some first aid kits. I don't have a med pack. I have.
First aid kit
okay.
is big. Do you have first aid bandage?
So here's check this out. This is for. I have first aid bandage. I don't have first aid kit. I'm sending you some damage reduction stuff if you want to pick those up. If you're gonna use those. Oh, okay, never mind. Then I'll keep them.
I can use them. Yep.
Okay.
We actually have a horde that we can fucking prepare for. Let's go.
If you're watching a stream and your Oshi's live, would you stay or leave? Depends. I mean, like, am I interacting with the person, or are they just a vibe? Wait a second. Oh my god.
Wait, do not be inside when it spawns. I feel like being out in the open will be better. We can move around easier.
Yes,
they all spawn around you.
Okay. I got. Take this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, they all spawned on me! Oh shit! I'm running back a bit. Give me a second.
Fuck.
Yo, these hordes are actually fucking tanky. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, me. What the fuck?
Why are they so tanky?
Wait, did y'all activate the fucking damage thing?
I don't think so. No, we don't have it.
No. What's my favorite animal? Dogs. I do love dogs. Dogs are my favorite animal. Okay.
Damn,
we need to build a place to handle hordes.
I didn't expect them to be so tanky.
Yeah.
Like, I unloaded
hordes.
On them with my fucking assault rifle, only did maybe half their health it showed.
Dies, get naked. It's not my fault I die and get naked. Okay, but I think I should have... Oh my god, I can't make a rent.
I count that as our first official fail, because we actually had a chance that time.
Yeah. I should have dropped more shit. Okay. Chat, to make a wrench, I need a workbench, which I could make if I had a wrench to get mechanical parts, but I don't. Thank you for the follow. So 87 live. How you doing?
I keep breaking cars. Do I have a chance to get it? Do you know?
I don't think you do. I think you need a wrench to get the mechanical parts.
Because I have a level 4 harvest tool, so I could try to go through this quick.
A harvest tool? What do you mean a harvest tool?
The stone axe, I mean.
Oh, okay. Die spreads the fault. Shut the fuck off. Yeah, that's what my next plan will be. That'll be my next plan. I do want to build a trench around our base. I just have not had the chance. Okay, you know what? Do you have money? You have money, right? How much money do you have?
I spent a lot of it, but I still have about 6,000.
Do you want to give me some money so I can go see if we can buy mechanical parts?
Oh yeah, here, let's just head there together. I'm heading there now.
All right. Do I have any steroids left? Chad, I have no
What?
steroids.
Why do I have fatigue? Do you have any vitamins?
I do not.
Alright, well, I'm just gonna stay fatigued then.
Yeah, we have no vitamins. Okay. We have no steroids. What happened to all our steroids?
Yeah, you have no steroids. That's a shame. I want you to know, every med box that spawned on me has had steroids. I have 6 of them still.
God fucking damn it. That's what happens when you spam stuff on Dar, chat. I get nothing.
Yeah, you should keep doing it, chat. I kind of like it, you know? I didn't get many boxes the first day. This is nice.
Wait, you slowed me?
Wait, we got slowed? Who slowed us? That's just mean.
Bastard. Alright, we'll go to the store. Actually, if you want to just go to the store and see if you can find mechanical parts, we need 25.
I'm already almost at the store.
Yeah. Let me know if
what
you
if they
find...
sell a wrench at the store?
You can also buy a wrench, and a wrench will guarantee us more mechanical parts.
All right, so check for a wrench before mechanical parts. Got it.
If they have 25 mechanical parts, get mechanical parts, because then we can make our own wrench. And a wrench is going to be like 1,000.
I mean, I have 6K, so I mean.
Well, yeah, the extension is still on cooldown. Because we died, chat.
Yeah, we died to the fucking horde, sadly. I want to beat a horde so bad.
I want to beat a horde so bad.
Alright, let's see what we got here. Well, they do have a wrench. A level 4 wrench, actually.
Nice.
I am not seeing mechanical parts. Yeah, they ain't got no mechanical parts.
All right, just get a wrench then, and we'll get some mechanical parts. Hi, Luna-chan. What are you doing?
Do I just need to hit
Oh,
shit?
thank you for the hydrate, Mitchie. Hi, Mitchie.
Do I just need to hit cars with this fucking wrench?
Yeah.
Alright, bet.
Mitchie, I love the art, by the way. I love that I get to have it as my profile picture. Chat, go. If you see Mitchie, like, on... Oh, fuck, we need nitrate. I've been looking for this forever. If you see Mitchie on, the... Wait for the stretch. On Twitter, give them a follow. They make lovely art. They also stream sometimes.
Oh, you get a lot of shit from cars when you have a wrench. God damn.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This is like this game has like a difficulty curve because once you get specific things, suddenly things get a lot easier.
I didn't realize how much shit you get. You get so much pipe from this also.
Don't. I know what you're thinking, chat. I can see it in your eyes. Do not.
What? Wait, what did they have the option to do?
Everything.
Oh, did something unlock?
Oh, no, everything just opened back up again.
Alright. Chat, all I ask is if you fuck with us, fuck with Gene. I'm trying to collect mechanical parts. How much mechanical parts do we need, by the way?
25.
Alright.
Chat, we can be bees. I mean, if you fuck with Dar... No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey.
Don't
No
fuck with
snake.
Dar. I thought... I was just thinking... Did you just lower my... Oh, wait, we have increased melee.
I just finished a car as that happened. No. We get to this other car before it's gone. Please.
If you fuck with Dar,
Oh my
technically
fucking
this
god.
stream might go longer.
Yo, increased melee with a wrench is fucking funny. I one-shot cars. Gene!
Are you one-shotting cars?
Yes, I just broke like 10 cars by one-shotting them.
Do you hear how high-pitched Dar's voice is getting? Chat, you need to do this more often when he's trying to break shit.
That's fucking funny. Holy shit.
This is
fucking hilarious.
Oh,
I don't even know how much shit I got. I just started running and watching the cars disappear. That's fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, I did not expect them to just instantly fucking break.
amazing.
Alright, I got a car battery, 20 pipe, 9 electrical parts, and 42 mechanical parts.
Ooh, yeah! We can finally build a crafting bench! I'm gonna get rid of this space where there is currently a broken crafting bench, and hopefully when you get back, we'll put it there. And then we can make your spears.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know if we can beat they get a better spear than what I got.
What do you currently have?
I got that level 1 iron spear. It does a lot.
Bud, how many spear books have you gotten?
I don't know.
Check what you can make spears.
Stones? I can make a level 6 stone spear.
Look up the metal spear. You should be able to make a metal spear too now.
Spear.
Iron.
I can make a normal iron spear.
Only level 1?
Only level 1 still.
Ah, damn. Oh well.
I have 13 spear books. I need 36 for steel spear.
Oh well, you're not trying to make steel spear. You're trying to make an iron spear.
Well, but I have iron spear unlocked, so that means I should be getting the higher qualities here soon.
Yeah. Thank you for the follow, Yumi. Hello, 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 hello. Thank you for all the stuff, by the way.
Oh, four. You good?
Yes, we finally got one of these stupid things. I love these things. Oh, they're so cool. They're so good.
How good of this thing is this thing that you?
It's so goofy. We got a turret that just hammers them. We got a hammer turret.
What?
And so you can put it there, and you put it next to a hole, and you just knock them into the hole repeatedly.
So you're saying we get a turret that can hammer us? All right.
Yeah, we got a hammer turret. Explosives, yes. Fat pigeon. Okay, well, we're gonna need car batteries. Let me keep my car batteries. Let me stop throwing shit away we don't need at that second. Play DDV. Oh, have fun with DDV.
Yo!
Oh, are you here? Put the mechanical parts in one of these boxes.
What Ocean just gave me, though.
What did he give you?
Here's
Mine. I will kill you, Doug.
I just saw a box. I stopped. I didn't take anything from
The
it.
fucking instant, like, mine.
Look, I see a box. I want loot. I like loot. I'm sorry.
Okay, Dart, please put the mechanical parts in the box.
Oh, I'm dropping off a lot of shit right now. There's also a hunting knife in here if you want those.
Thank you, I love those.
Unless, is that something I should keep on me?
I do. You can keep one if you'd like. Up to you.
Well, I don't know what I'd use it for because I'm not going to fight with it.
Chat, I haven't completed the basic fucking quests, apparently.
Forged iron goes from there. Alright.
Wait, what the fuck
I
happened?
have officially dropped off everything.
I thought I finished all these quests. I have 8 points because I never finished it. Hey, hit Y.
Why?
Do you have things that are lit up green that you can redeem?
No, I've been doing that every time.
Oh, I haven't. I just gained 8 skill points.
That's a lot of fucking skill points. What the
That's
fuck?
a lot of fucking skill points. All right, we can finally make this stupid thing. Oh, hey, Dar, can you break this workbench for me using your wrench?
Haha. Don't mind if I do.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm keeping this wrench, though.
Yeah, you can keep it. I'm not no, Dar, you're not allowed to keep the thing that you have on you.
It's level 4. I like it. It's green. It makes
All
me
right, chat,
feel
we have
good.
6 minutes until the end of stream. Should I just do this? Should I allow you all to fucking try to ruin my life? All right, chat. I'm gonna try to finish the workbench. If you want to slow me down or prevent my progress, fuck with me.
Hey, Gene. So I just realized something, too.
Yeah?
Oh, that hurt.
Sorry.
We have not upgraded a defense home, and we are almost on the 7th night.
Oh, once we get all the shit, we got this. I will.
Okay.
I will spend the entire 7 days.
We got a new vote. What's our last vote?
Jumbo backpack resourcefulness or deafen. No.
I wonder what resourceful does. I'm very curious. We've seen what Jumbo backpack is kind of disappointing, sadly. I was hoping it actually.
If we had organized bags, it would matter.
I guess, but I don't know about y'all. I don't organize my bag. I just throw it in.
Neither do I.
So it kind of is useless on us. Deafen's just okay. Yeah, Deafen.
Deafen sucks. Deafen sucks.
I hate Deafen. I think I hate Deafen more than the non-headshot damage. If I'm, I don't
It's
like
just
Deafen.
really annoying.
I don't like the game having no noises. It's scary.
Okay, what's resource? Your crafting and scrapping speeds are increased. You also harvest devil materials. Oh hell yeah! Shit.
Oh, alright, I'm gonna gather a lot of wood then.
Yeah, get wood. Get wood. Wood should be our primary focus. Fuck,
Chat,
I have to stop the workbench.
can you give me energized and melee damage? I can get a lot of wood if so.
We got wood. We need wood. We need wood. Because you know what we're gonna do? Spike traps. Spike traps.
Oh, there's energized. Perfect.
fuck.
That's not. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wait, are you killing him in one hit? Oh my god.
Yes. 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 I love this so fucking much. Deforestation, let's go.
We don't need a forest. Fuck the trees! Oh, it's
I
over.
now have 2,000 wood.
Okay. Make them
I'm
all.
still collecting
Make
wood.
them all into wood spike traps.
That is way too many. What the fuck?
No, we're gonna surround our entire
wait.
house with them.
We have an attack about to be happening on you. I'm heading back.
Lucky it's an attack, not a horde.
Yeah, it's an attack, but still, they can be a bit rough sometimes, depending on what
Yeah.
the fuck they spawn in.
Spawned mine goblin. What's a mine goblin?
Mountain goblin these nuts.
Fuck you.
Sorry.
You spawned up, dog. Where? Daroard got him. Tourist attack. They're here.
Oh shit.
There we go.
All right, you just keep backing up and don't get in my crossfire.
There we go. Wait, do I have dynamite? Chat, I have dynamite. Chat, I have an idea. I have a dynamite idea.
How much do I need for this last level? 3 points. Okay. Bro, by the way, if I can get into a big forest and they have that thing to if they can give me the buff where I one-shot trees, you get a shit ton of XP.
Oh yeah.
I got like 10k XP breaking all those trees. Just fucking XP for days.
So here's the idea, Dar. We need a way to get on the roof.
Yes, I agree.
When we get on the roof, we also need. I'm setting up a trench right now around everything, so that they should not be able to get close enough. But I don't know if I'll finish it in time, so we are also gonna make a shit ton of wood traps around the edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here, let me just drop you all the wood, because you're the base builder. I ain't doing this shit. I don't know
I'm
what
the base
doing.
builder. I'm a base man. Incredible how I can see right through me. All right.
Alright.
I don't need dynamite. So
2001.
thank you.
There's a lot of wood and shit in that.
I would
there.
rather have somebody else fix the car for me, TB. I don't mind people doing car work, and I love people who can do car work. I can't. All right, here we go.
Can we like build a ladder and put it on the roof, maybe?
Oh yeah, we'll put a ladder. I'll make a ladder.
Okay,
All right,
perfect.
but chat, it is coming to the end. We finally built this. We finally built the bench. Next stream is going to be getting ready for the blood moon. We'll put it. Here we go.
Yeah, we're starting to get like, better stuff. We have almost full not shit gear.
I fucked up.
Good job. Are you ever planning on carrying lockpicks on you, or can I just hold on to them all?
I carry some lockpicks, but you can keep all the ones that you currently have.
I don't currently have any. I'm gonna be real.
There we go. Fucking heard that. I heard that, chat. Anyways, chat, we're going to be reaching to the end of stream. Let's go find somebody to raid out to. Mwah. You've all been amazing. Mwah. You've been great. Mwah. Let's see if we can find someone to raid out to. Twitch.tv. Okay. Scariest hours. Okay, we're not raiding shrimps. Just chatting. Who's this person? Are they cool? Oh, they're not even there.
As you
Okay,
look on who to raid, I got my new outfit.
Chatteroo? Are they chill?
Had to make sure I popped on stream so y'all could see.
Goofy. Let's see if we can find somebody here. Brain, my brain. We're not rating shrimp. We're not rating shrimp. Helia? Let me see Helia. Helia. Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah! Raid Helia. I thought I already followed them. All right, chat, we're going to grade Helia. Y'all behave yourself. You'll be good. We're going to do a... Here you go. Grab that. Grab whichever raid you want, chat. I love you all so very, 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 very much. And I will see you all next time, okay? Y'all be good. Dar, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I got some good shit this run. You know, I have
Let's
an
go.
axe. Wait, real quick before the end, I'm just gonna.
Don't. Wow. Ready?
I held that in
5,
all game.
4, 3, 2. Bye, people. Mwah!
Bye. Ugh. Twitch integration does a lot.